When we speak of balance in the body, what we are really describing is a quiet, steady harmony that unfolds moment by moment, often without our awareness. Beneath the rhythm of your breathing, beneath the gentle beating of your heart, countless small adjustments are happening to keep you safe, to keep you alive, and to keep you well. This hidden steadiness is what allows every thought, every movement, and every sensation to unfold with ease. It is balance not in the dramatic sense of acrobats or tightropes, but in the subtle and continuous sense of life, quietly caring for itself. In many ways, it is the body's greatest work of art. Imagine a calm pond at dawn. The water appears still, reflecting the trees and sky in a perfect mirror. Yet beneath that surface, streams and currents are moving. Fish shift gently, plants release bubbles of oxygen, and unseen organisms perform their tasks. The surface looks tranquil, but the stillness is the result of countless tiny interactions keeping the water in its form. The body is very much like that pond. On the surface, you may feel calm, or restless, or drowsy, but beneath the surface, your organs, your cells, and even your molecules are flowing together, each doing its part to keep the whole system balanced. The word most often used to describe this balance is homeostasis. It is a word with Greek roots, meaning same state or steady condition. Though the term itself may sound clinical, its meaning is soft and comforting. It refers to the ability of the body to hold itself steady even while the world around you changes. When the air turns cold, the body gently warms itself. When you drink a glass of water, it distributes that fluid to where it is needed most. When you feel hunger, it is a sign that your inner reserves have dipped and must be replenished. All of this happens without demand, without panic, and without conscious thought. It is the quiet promise that the body makes to itself to remain in balance. This balance begins at the smallest scale. Within every cell, molecules are moving in and out, nutrients are being absorbed, and waste is being carried away. Each cell is like a small household, with tasks to be done and resources to be managed. But just as a household belongs to a community, each cell belongs to tissues, to organs, and to the organism as a whole. The balance of the body is a tapestry woven from these countless small interactions. No part of the body truly acts alone. Just as the pond depends on fish, plants, water, and sunlight, your balance depends on many systems working as one. It can be helpful to think of the body not as a machine, though it has mechanical qualities, but rather as an ecosystem. In a forest, trees grow upward toward the light, roots draw water from the soil, fungi recycle what has fallen, and animals move through the undergrowth. Each part supports the others, and balance is found not through stillness, but through constant adjustment. In the same way, your body is always adjusting. If you stand up quickly, your heart speeds slightly to keep blood flowing to your brain. If you rest after a long walk, your muscles slowly cool as your breathing eases. These small shifts may seem ordinary, but they are the signs of life continuously seeking balance. Balance in the body is not absolute. It does not mean that every number, every measurement, remains exactly the same. Rather, it is a gentle flexibility, a willingness of the body to bend with circumstance. Your temperature may rise slightly in the afternoon and fall again at night. Your heartbeat quickens with activity and slows with rest. Your blood sugar climbs after a meal and then settles as nutrients are absorbed. These fluctuations are not failures of balance but expressions of it. True balance is not rigidity but resilience, the ability to return to center after movement in either direction. Consider for a moment the breath you are taking now. With each inhale, oxygen flows into your lungs, passes into your blood, and reaches your cells. With each exhale, Carbon dioxide leaves, carried away as waste. This exchange happens continuously, an ebb and flow not unlike the tide. You are never holding the exact same amount of oxygen or carbon dioxide. Instead, you are in a rhythm, and within that rhythm lies balance. The breath does not need to be forced or managed. It carries itself, guided by reflexes deeper than thought. And in doing so, it sustains life with effortless constancy. In the same way, many aspects of the body's balance are quiet, unbidden, and automatic. You do not instruct your stomach to release digestive enzymes, yet it does. You do not remind your kidneys to filter your blood, yet they carry on. Even as you sleep, your liver processes nutrients, your heart pumps faithfully, and your brain regulates temperature. Balance is not dependent on your awareness of it. It is a background hum, a soft undercurrent of stability that supports your waking and sleeping hours alike. There is something deeply calming about realizing that balance is always being sought, whether or not you notice it. When you feel warmth in your skin after exercise, that warmth is a sign of balance, blood moving to release heat. When your mouth feels dry, that dryness is a cue, reminding you to restore water balance by drinking. Even discomforts are signals of the body's quiet dedication to balance. They are invitations to listen, to respond gently, and to restore harmony. Throughout human history, people have been drawn to the idea of balance as a guiding principle. Ancient traditions of medicine often described health as a harmony of forces, the balance of elements, the balance of humors, or the balance of energies. While the language has shifted, the truth remains. Life is sustained by equilibrium. Modern science describes this through hormones, nerves, and chemical pathways. But the essence is the same. To be alive is to maintain balance. As we begin this exploration, allow yourself to rest in the knowledge that balance is not something you must create, but something that is already happening within you. Every cell, every organ, every system is attuned to this quiet pursuit, like the pond reflecting the dawn sky, or the forest moving gently with the seasons. Your body is always seeking its natural state of steadiness. As you listen, you may notice your own breath, the soft rise and fall of your chest, the steady rhythm of your heartbeat. These are not separate from the story of balance. They are the story itself, expressed in the simplest of ways. In the chapters that follow, we will move deeper into the systems that sustain this harmony, from the regulation of water and temperature to the subtle guidance of hormones. But for now, it is enough simply to rest in the awareness that your body is, at every moment, carrying out the art of balance, quietly, faithfully, and beautifully. 2. The concept of homeostasis. The word homeostasis may sound technical, but its meaning is simple and reassuring. It refers to the way living things maintain a steady internal environment, even when the world outside is changing. It is the quiet constancy that allows a human being to survive in climates both warm and cold, to eat different foods, to move between waking and sleeping, and still remain stable. It is the balance that makes life possible. Without it, even the smallest fluctuations in temperature, water, or chemistry would quickly overwhelm us. With it, the body creates a safe inner world where life can unfold smoothly. Imagine a candle flame. The air around it shifts. A draft may pass, but the flame flickers without going out. The candle adjusts continuously, burning faster when the breeze takes heat away, softening when the air grows still. In a similar way, homeostasis is not about absolute stillness, but about continuous adjustment. The body is always measuring, always sensing, always responding to tiny changes so that conditions remain within a safe range. Your temperature, your blood sugar, your hydration, and even the balance of salts in your blood are all carefully maintained in this way. At its heart, homeostasis works through feedback. The body notices when something has moved too far in one direction and gently corrects it, bringing it back toward balance. If your temperature rises, mechanisms are activated to cool you down. If your blood sugar falls, systems awaken to raise it again. This feedback is mostly negative, meaning that when a change occurs, the body responds by pushing in the opposite direction. In this way, balance is never rigid but always dynamic, like a boat that rocks gently but never capsizes. One of the clearest examples is body temperature. Humans can thrive only within a narrow band of warmth. If we grow too hot, proteins in our cells lose their shape and function. If we grow too cold, reactions slow until life itself becomes fragile. The body manages this with remarkable precision. When heat rises, blood vessels widen to release warmth through the skin. Sweat forms, and as it evaporates, it cools the body. When cold sets in, vessels constrict to keep heat at the core, muscles shiver to generate warmth, and tiny hairs on the skin lift, a faint reminder of an older evolutionary heritage. Each of these responses happens automatically, without conscious thought, part of the larger pattern of homeostasis. Another vivid example is water balance. Every cell in the body depends on the right proportion of water and dissolved salts. Too much water and the cells swell. Too little and they shrink. The body carefully monitors this balance through sensors in the brain and kidneys. When water levels drop, you feel thirst, and hormones act to reduce urine output, conserving what remains. When water is plentiful, the kidneys allow more of it to pass out, keeping the body from becoming overfilled. This continuous adjustment allows life to thrive in environments as varied as deserts and rainforests, always maintaining the steady inner ocean that our cells require. Homeostasis also governs blood sugar, the body's essential fuel supply. After eating, glucose rises in the blood, and the pancreas releases insulin, guiding cells to absorb the sugar for energy or storage. When glucose dips, the pancreas releases glucagon, signaling the liver to release stored sugar back into circulation. These adjustments prevent the highs and lows that would otherwise leave the body without fuel or overwhelm the delicate tissues of the blood vessels. Even the hunger and satiety signals you feel are part of this balance. Gentle reminders to eat or to rest. Calcium balance, too, shows the intricacy of this process. Calcium is needed for strong bones, but it also plays a role in nerve signals and muscle contractions. The parathyroid glands and thyroid gland work together to keep calcium at just the right level. When it falls, parathyroid hormone releases more from bone and reduces its loss through urine. When calcium rises too high, calcitonin encourages bones to absorb it and directs the kidneys to let some go. This dance ensures that the heart can beat, the muscles can contract, and the skeleton remains strong, all without our awareness. Even the air we breathe is tied to homeostasis. Sensors in the brain measure the level of carbon dioxide in the blood, which rises when breathing slows. If levels climb too high, the body urges you to breathe faster and deeper, releasing the excess and bringing oxygen back in. If levels fall too low, the signal to breathe eases. The cycle is so continuous and gentle that we rarely think of it. Yet without it, the balance of gases in the blood would quickly become dangerous. At every level, from the smallest cell to the entire body, homeostasis is present. Inside a cell, organelles control acidity, energy, and waste. At the level of tissues, blood flow adjusts to meet demand. At the level of organs, coordination ensures that each system contributes to the whole. This layered balance gives the body resilience. A disruption in one part can often be softened by adjustments in another. For example, when a person loses water through sweat, Blood volume may fall, but vessels constrict to maintain blood pressure, and hormones shift to conserve water, buying time until more can be taken in. It is also important to remember that homeostasis is not perfect. It does not mean the body never changes, only that it tries to return toward balance. Sometimes the challenge is too great. Extreme heat, severe dehydration, or illness can overwhelm these systems. Yet even then, the effort continues. The body's first instinct is always to restore stability, to bring things back within safe limits. This persistence, this dedication to balance, is part of the quiet miracle of being alive. What makes homeostasis especially beautiful is its cooperation. No single system acts alone. Temperature regulation involves the nervous system, the circulatory system, the skin, and the muscles. Water balance involves the kidneys, the brain, the heart, and the hormones that pass between them. Blood sugar balance calls on the pancreas, the liver, the muscles, and the fat stores. Each plays its part, responding not in isolation but as part of a network of relationships. Balance is not the work of one organ, but of the body as a whole. The concept of homeostasis also extends to the rhythms of daily life. Sleep and wakefulness, cycles of hunger and fullness, patterns of activity and rest. All of these are forms of balance. When you drift into sleep, your body temperature falls slightly, your breathing steadies, and hormones shift to repair and restore. When you wake, energy hormones rise, your heart beats faster, and digestion begins again. These cycles are not random but carefully timed, each a piece of the broader picture of balance. To appreciate homeostasis is to see the body not as something fragile, but as something remarkably resilient. Even when challenged, it bends and adjusts, finding new ways to maintain stability. A fever, for example, is not simply a symptom of illness, but a deliberate shift in balance, raising temperature to make the environment less friendly to invading organisms. Hunger during fasting is not only discomfort but a signal to seek nourishment and restore equilibrium. These signs, though sometimes unwelcome, are expressions of the body's constant search for harmony. In the quiet of this reflection, it becomes clear that homeostasis is not just a scientific term but a gentle truth about life itself. Balance is not an accident. It is not passive. It is the active, ongoing, tireless work of every cell, every organ, every system within you. It is the reason your heart beats through the night, the reason your lungs continue to rise and fall, the reason your temperature remains safe in the chill of winter and the warmth of summer. It is the hidden current of life, flowing always toward stability, toward survival, and toward peace. 3. The nervous system as coordinator. The nervous system is often described as the body's control center, but perhaps it is gentler to think of it as a guide, a coordinator that listens to signals from every corner of the body and weaves them into a unified response. It is the system that notices when something is changing and helps direct the adjustments that restore balance. Without it, the many organs and tissues of the body would act in isolation. But with it, they form a cooperative whole, capable of responding to the smallest change in the environment or the largest challenge to survival. At the center of this system lies the brain, a structure of remarkable complexity. Within its folds and layers, billions of nerve cells called neurons are constantly active, receiving information, interpreting it, and sending out instructions. The spinal cord, extending downward from the brain, carries these instructions throughout the body, while also bringing new information back. Together, the brain and spinal cord form the central nervous system, a hub of integration and decision-making. But the story does not end there. Nerves branch outward from the spinal cord, reaching into the arms, legs, chest, and abdomen. These nerves form the peripheral nervous system, a vast network of communication lines that link every organ, every muscle, and every sense to the brain. This network is designed for both speed and precision. A neuron is capable of sending signals along its length as tiny pulses of electricity, known as action potentials. These signals travel rapidly, sometimes over a meter in a human body, before reaching their destination. At the end of a neuron, chemicals called neurotransmitters are released into a small gap and taken up by the next cell, ensuring that the message continues. In this way, the nervous system forms chains of communication that can span from a fingertip to the spinal cord and back again in less than a second. This speed allows balance to be maintained almost instantly. If you step onto a patch of ice, your foot slips slightly, and before you have time to think, signals from the nerves in your leg travel to the spinal cord and back, tightening muscles to steady you. The nervous system does not wait for long deliberation. It adjusts immediately, keeping balance safe. The sensory aspect of the nervous system is its listening ear. Specialized receptors are scattered throughout the body, each tuned to a particular kind of change. Some receptors detect pressure and touch on the skin. Others sense light in the eyes. Others respond to chemicals in the nose or tongue. And still, others monitor the stretching of muscles and joints. Inside, hidden sensors keep track of blood pressure, oxygen levels, and the concentration of salts and water. All of this information flows into the nervous system continuously, like a steady stream of whispers about the body's condition. The brain gathers these whispers and turns them into a picture of how the body is doing and what must be done to maintain balance. The motor aspect of the nervous system is its gentle hand of response. Once the brain interprets what is happening, it sends signals outward through motor nerves, directing muscles to contract or relax, glands to release secretions, or organs to adjust their activity. These instructions can be conscious, such as when you decide to take a sip of water, or unconscious, such as when your pupils narrow in bright light. Both kinds of actions contribute to balance, one guided by your will, the other carried out in the background without need for attention. Among the most important features of the nervous system is its division into two branches, the somatic and the autonomic systems. The somatic system governs voluntary movements, such as walking, speaking, or reaching. These are deliberate actions, chosen by the mind and carried out by skeletal muscles. The autonomic system, by contrast, governs the involuntary functions that sustain life: heartbeat, digestion, breathing rate, and glandular secretions. These are not under conscious control, and yet they are the very actions that preserve balance. The autonomic system itself has two arms: the sympathetic and parasympathetic divisions, which often act in opposition. The sympathetic division prepares the body for activity, quickening the heart, widening the airways, and releasing stored energy. The parasympathetic division restores calm, slowing the heart, stimulating digestion, and encouraging rest. Together, they form a rhythmic balance, like the inhalation and exhalation of breath, one preparing for action, the other guiding restoration. The nervous system is also a master of integration. For example, consider the act of eating a meal. As food enters the mouth, sensory nerves detect taste, texture, and temperature. These signals travel to the brain, where they trigger salivation and swallowing. As the food reaches the stomach, stretch receptors detect its presence and signal the brain, which in turn instructs the stomach to release acid and enzymes. Hormones are also released, but the initial coordination belongs to the nervous system, ensuring that each step of digestion unfolds in order. The nervous system watches carefully, adjusts the pace, and prevents imbalance such as overfilling or underdigestion. Even the maintenance of posture is a quiet triumph of nervous coordination. Muscles throughout the body receive constant signals to contract just enough to keep you upright. If you sway slightly, sensors in the inner ear detect the shift, and nerves relay the information to the spinal cord, which sends corrective signals to muscles. This happens hundreds of times each minute, and yet it feels effortless. The nervous system is always there, balancing, guiding, and ensuring that you remain steady. It is easy to think of the nervous system as a collection of wires and switches, but in truth, it is more like a conversation, one that never ends. Neurons do not simply pass signals forward like a chain of dominoes. They integrate, compare, and combine information. Each neuron receives input from many others, weighs that input, and then decides whether to send a signal onward. The result is not mechanical but dynamic, a kind of thinking carried out at the cellular level. This is what allows the nervous system to adjust responses depending on context. A drop in blood pressure might be corrected by a slight increase in heart rate if you are resting, but by a larger increase if you are standing and moving. The adjustment is tailored, not uniform, because the nervous system interprets the whole situation. One of the most striking features of the nervous system is its adaptability. Neurons form connections with one another, and these connections can strengthen, weaken, or even grow anew. This plasticity allows learning and memory, but it also allows balance to be maintained under new conditions. For instance, when a person moves to a higher altitude, oxygen levels are lower, and the body at first struggles. But the nervous system gradually adjusts breathing patterns and sensitivity to carbon dioxide, creating a new equilibrium. This flexibility is essential for survival in a world that is always changing. The nervous system's role in balance extends even to emotion. Stress, joy, calmness, and fear are all states influenced by nerve activity. When stress rises, the sympathetic system activates, releasing energy and sharpening senses. When calm returns, the parasympathetic system reasserts itself, guiding digestion, slowing the heart, and restoring a sense of ease. These emotional shifts are not separate from balance but are part of it, helping the body prepare for challenges and then return to rest. At every turn, the nervous system is listening, deciding, and guiding. It is not a commander barking orders, but a quiet conductor leading an orchestra. Each organ plays its part, but the nervous system ensures that they play together, in time and in harmony. Through its speed, its integration, and its adaptability, it allows the body to maintain homeostasis in a world that is never still. And so, when you notice your breath, your heartbeat, or the simple steadiness of your posture, you are experiencing the work of the nervous system as coordinator. It is not a loud presence, not something that demands attention, but rather a quiet companion, ensuring that balance is kept moment by moment, hour by hour, through the long rhythm of life. 4. The endocrine system as regulator. The body holds many ways of maintaining balance, and alongside the nervous system, which offers speed and immediacy, there is another quieter and slower means of regulation, known as the endocrine system, where nerves rely on swift electrical impulses and instant responses. The endocrine system communicates through the bloodstream, using chemicals called hormones as messengers. These messages do not rush across synapses in a fraction of a second, but instead travel gently with the flow of blood, reaching organs and tissues near and far. The effect is slower to appear, but it is longer lasting, shaping not only moment-to-moment adjustments, but also the long-term patterns of growth, energy, mood, and development. The term endocrine simply means secreting within. Endocrine glands release their products directly into the blood, rather than through ducts. These products are hormones, and they are astonishingly powerful despite their small size. A hormone is a molecule that can circulate through the entire body and yet find its way to the exact cells that need to hear its message. Those cells, called target cells, carry special receptors, tiny locks into which only the correct hormonal key will fit. When the key turns, the cell responds, perhaps by altering its metabolism, releasing another chemical, or dividing to grow. Through these signals, the endocrine system regulates balance at every level of life. One of the central players in this system is the pituitary gland, often described as the master gland. It is a small structure, no larger than a pea, resting just beneath the brain. Yet its influence extends widely. It releases hormones that direct other glands, telling the thyroid when to increase metabolism, the adrenal glands when to release stress hormones, and the reproductive organs when to produce sex hormones. Though it holds great power, the pituitary itself does not act alone. It is guided by the hypothalamus, a region of the brain that senses the body's internal state and translates that information into hormonal commands. Together, the hypothalamus and pituitary form a bridge between the nervous and endocrine systems, allowing fast electrical signals to be converted into slower chemical regulation. The thyroid gland, sitting just below the throat, is another key part of this network. It produces hormones that influence metabolism, the speed at which cells use energy. If the thyroid releases more hormone, metabolism quickens, producing warmth and energy. If it releases less, the body slows, conserving fuel. This regulation is essential for maintaining temperature, weight, and energy balance. Small shifts in thyroid activity can change how one feels from moment to moment, reflecting the subtle but profound influence of endocrine signals. Behind the thyroid lie the parathyroid glands, 4 tiny structures with a singular mission: regulating calcium. Calcium may seem like a mineral that belongs mostly to bones and teeth, but it is also vital for muscle contraction, nerve signals, and blood clotting. The parathyroid glands release hormone when calcium falls too low, drawing it from bone and reducing its loss in urine. When calcium rises too high, the thyroid releases calcitonin to store it again in bone. Through this back and forth, the endocrine system maintains calcium balance with precision, ensuring that both structure and function remain steady. The adrenal glands, perched atop the kidneys, provide another layer of regulation. They are divided into 2 regions with distinct roles. The outer cortex produces hormones that regulate salt and water balance, as well as cortisol, which influences metabolism and the stress response. The inner medulla produces adrenaline and noradrenaline, hormones that prepare the body for quick action. Though adrenaline acts rapidly, it is still part of the endocrine system, sending its chemical messages through blood rather than nerves. The adrenal glands remind us that balance is not only about calm constancy but also about readiness, giving the body the ability to respond to sudden challenges, while later restoring equilibrium. The pancreas holds a dual role, serving both as an exocrine gland, releasing digestive enzymes through ducts, and as an endocrine gland, releasing hormones into the blood. Its endocrine role centers on the regulation of blood glucose. 2 hormones, insulin and glucagon, act as counterbalances. Insulin lowers blood sugar by encouraging cells to absorb and store it, while glucagon raises blood sugar by signaling the liver to release stored reserves. Together, they ensure that energy remains available but not excessive, protecting delicate tissues from harm while sustaining the needs of the brain and muscles. The reproductive glands, or gonads, also belong to the endocrine system. In males, the testes produce testosterone, while in females, the ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone. These hormones regulate fertility, but their influence extends further, shaping muscle mass, bone strength, fat distribution, and even mood. During adolescence, they guide the transformations of puberty, balancing growth with sexual maturity. Later in life, their gradual decline brings new phases of balance, such as menopause. In every case, reproductive hormones are not only about reproduction, but also about the steady guidance of the body's broader equilibrium. What unites all of these glands is the principle of feedback. The endocrine system rarely acts in one direction without regulation. Instead, most hormones are controlled by negative feedback loops. When a hormone reaches a sufficient level, the gland producing it slows down, preventing excess. When levels drop, production resumes. This cycle prevents wild swings and keeps conditions within a narrow, safe range. It is the hormonal equivalent of a thermostat, quietly turning systems on and off to maintain comfort. Though slower than the nervous system, the endocrine system is deeply intertwined with it. Stress offers a clear example. When the brain perceives a challenge, it signals the adrenal medulla to release adrenaline, preparing the body for action. At the same time, the hypothalamus and pituitary stimulate the adrenal cortex to release cortisol, sustaining energy over longer periods. When the challenge ends, the brain signals a reduction, and balance is restored. This partnership ensures that the body can respond to the immediate and the lasting aspects of life's demands. Endocrine regulation is not confined to crisis, however. It also guides the rhythms of daily life. Hormones, such as melatonin, released by the pineal gland, influence sleep-wake cycles. Cortisol itself follows a rhythm, rising in the morning to promote alertness and falling at night to allow rest. Growth hormone is secreted in pulses, often highest during deep sleep, supporting tissue repair. These rhythms show that balance is not static but cyclical, flowing with the passage of hours and seasons. Even emotions and social bonds are touched by the endocrine system. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, is released during childbirth, breastfeeding, and even simple gestures of closeness. It promotes feelings of trust and connection, weaving balance into relationships as well as into physiology. In this way, the endocrine system demonstrates that regulation is not purely mechanical, but extends to the subtle harmonies of human experience. To consider the endocrine system is to appreciate the power of small things. A tiny amount of hormone can alter the course of growth, shape metabolism, or shift mood. Though invisible and often unnoticed, these molecules guide the body with a steady hand, regulating balance across minutes, days, and years. They remind us that balance is not only about immediate survival but about long-term harmony, ensuring that development, reproduction, and aging all unfold within safe bounds. As with all aspects of homeostasis, the endocrine system does not seek perfection, but resilience. It adjusts, it compensates, and it restores. When one gland falters, others often step in to soften the imbalance. When external conditions change, hormone levels shift accordingly. Through this quiet chemistry, the body remains steady, even as the world around it continues to change. And so, the endocrine system stands as the slower, steadier partner to the nervous system, a regulator that shapes the flow of life, not in seconds, but in hours, days, and seasons. It is the system that whispers through the bloodstream, reminding every cell of its role, ensuring that energy is stored or released, that growth occurs at the right pace, that reproduction is possible, and that stress is endured without lasting harm. Like an unseen clock, it marks the rhythms of balance, guiding the body with patience and constancy through the long journey of living. 5. Balance of water and fluids. Water is the quiet foundation of life, flowing through every cell, every tissue, and every system of the body. Without it, balance cannot be maintained, for water carries nutrients, dissolves salts, removes waste, cushions joints, and regulates temperature. It is the medium in which nearly all chemical reactions of the body occur. Though we may think of water only when thirst arises, the truth is that our bodies are constantly measuring, adjusting, and redistributing fluids to keep every part of us steady. The balance of water and fluids is one of the most carefully guarded aspects of homeostasis, a silent work that allows life to continue without pause. The human body is composed of about 60% water, though this varies with age, sex, and body composition. In infants, the percentage is higher, while in older adults it is lower. This water is not distributed evenly but organized into compartments. About 2/3 lies inside the cells, called intracellular fluid, while the remaining third is found outside, as extracellular fluid. The extracellular portion itself is divided between the fluid that bathes tissues, known as interstitial fluid, and the plasma that circulates in blood. These compartments are not isolated. Water moves between them constantly, guided by the balance of salts, proteins, and pressure. The result is a dynamic equilibrium in which each compartment receives what it needs while maintaining overall stability. Central to this balancing act is osmosis, the natural movement of water across cell membranes. Water moves toward areas of higher solute concentration, seeking to equalize conditions. This movement ensures that cells neither swell excessively nor shrink dangerously. Imagine a raisin dropped into water. It swells as water enters to balance the difference in concentration. The body works tirelessly to prevent such extremes in living cells, adjusting salt levels and fluid volumes so that every cell maintains its proper shape and function. The kidneys are the primary organs responsible for regulating water balance. These bean-shaped structures filter blood continuously, removing waste while deciding how much water to conserve and how much to excrete. When the body has an excess of water, the kidneys produce large amounts of dilute urine, releasing the surplus. When water is scarce, urine becomes concentrated, dark with salts and waste, as the kidneys conserve every possible drop. This adjustment happens minute by minute, guided by signals from hormones and sensors throughout the body. One of the most important hormones in this regulation is antidiuretic hormone, often abbreviated ADH. It is produced by the hypothalamus and released by the pituitary gland. When sensors in the brain detect that the blood has become too concentrated, meaning water is low, ADH is secreted. It instructs the kidneys to reabsorb more water, reducing urine output and restoring balance. When water is abundant, ADH secretion falls, and the kidneys release more water into urine. Through this simple yet precise mechanism, the body guards against dehydration and overhydration alike. Another key system is the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone pathway. When blood pressure drops, sensors in the kidneys release renin, an enzyme that triggers a cascade of changes, leading to the production of angiotensin, a substance that narrows blood vessels and stimulates thirst. At the same time, aldosterone is secreted from the adrenal glands, signaling the kidneys to retain sodium and water. This combined effect raises blood volume and restores pressure, ensuring that vital organs continue to receive blood flow. In this way, water balance is intimately tied to the balance of circulation, for fluids not only hydrate cells, but also determine the volume of blood that nourishes tissues. The sensation of thirst itself is a form of regulation. It is not merely a subjective feeling, but a signal arising from specialized receptors in the brain, particularly in the hypothalamus. These receptors, called osmoreceptors, monitor the concentration of the blood. When concentration rises, indicating water loss, they generate the conscious urge to drink. This ensures that behavior works in harmony with physiology. At the same time, Stretch receptors in the stomach and intestines sense when fluid is being consumed, helping to regulate intake and prevent overdrinking. Thus, thirst is both a warning and a safeguard, guiding us toward equilibrium. Sweating provides another example of water balance in action. When body temperature rises, sweat glands release fluid onto the skin. As this fluid evaporates, it carries heat away, cooling the body. Yet in doing so, it also depletes water. To compensate, thirst increases, and the kidneys conserve fluid. In this way, temperature, regulation, and water balance are linked, one process depending upon the other. A person exercising on a hot day may lose large amounts of water through sweat, but as long as they drink and their kidneys adjust, balance is restored. Without these safeguards, dehydration would set in quickly, impairing function and threatening survival. Dehydration occurs when water loss exceeds intake. It can result from sweating, illness, or insufficient drinking. As dehydration progresses, the mouth grows dry, the skin loses elasticity, and urine becomes concentrated. The heart works harder to circulate the reduced blood volume, and cells struggle to function in the altered environment. In severe cases, confusion, dizziness, and collapse can follow. Yet even in these states, the body continues to fight for balance, secreting hormones, narrowing blood vessels, and prioritizing blood flow to essential organs. Rehydration, even with small amounts of water, begins to restore equilibrium, showing the body's remarkable resilience. On the other side lies overhydration, less common but still significant. Drinking excessive amounts of water can dilute the salts in the blood, leading to a condition known as hyponatremia. Symptoms include nausea, confusion, and in extreme cases, seizures. The kidneys normally prevent this by releasing dilute urine. But if water intake greatly exceeds their capacity, imbalance can occur. Once again, the body strives for stability, but here the challenge is abundance rather than scarcity. Balance, as always, lies in the middle ground. It is worth noting that electrolytes, the salts dissolved in body fluids, are as important as water itself in maintaining equilibrium. Sodium, potassium, chloride, and bicarbonate all influence how water is distributed and how nerves and muscles function. The kidneys regulate these salts alongside water, ensuring that concentrations remain within safe ranges. A loss of electrolytes, such as during heavy sweating, can disrupt balance, even if water intake is adequate. This is why both water and salts must be considered in hydration, each essential to the larger picture of fluid balance. The interplay of water with other systems demonstrates the interconnected nature of balance. The cardiovascular system depends on fluid volume to maintain blood pressure. The respiratory system helps regulate pH by influencing carbon dioxide levels, which affect the balance of acids and bases dissolved in fluids. The digestive system absorbs water from food and drink, while the skin releases it in sweat. The nervous and endocrine systems oversee it all, sending signals to drink, to conserve, or to excrete. Balance is not the work of a single system, but the coordinated effort of many, each contributing to the whole. As you sit quietly, your body is already adjusting these balances. If you have recently eaten, water from food and drink is being absorbed in your intestines and delivered to your blood. If you have been breathing in dry air, water is leaving your body with each exhalation, a vapor you cannot see, but which reduces your reserves. If your room is warm, you may lose water through the skin, even without noticeable sweat. Each of these small changes is sensed and corrected, silently and without need for your attention. Balance is maintained not through stillness, but through continuous, gentle adaptation. To reflect on water balance is to realize how deeply life depends on the quiet flow of fluids. A single drop of water entering a cell, a single molecule of hormone binding to a receptor, a single nerve impulse signaling thirst. These are the small events that together sustain the great equilibrium of the body. Like a river that nourishes a valley, water flows through us ceaselessly, bringing renewal, carrying away what is no longer needed, and ensuring that every part of the body remains in harmony. It is balance in its purest form, simple, necessary, and endlessly beautiful. 6. Temperature regulation. The body's ability to regulate temperature is one of the most remarkable examples of balance in action. A quiet and constant adjustment that allows human beings to live in climates ranging from frozen tundra to scorching deserts. Despite the wide swings of the outside world, the body keeps its core temperature within a narrow window, usually around 37 degrees Celsius, or 98.5 degrees Fahrenheit. This constancy is not a matter of chance but of careful coordination, the result of many systems working together to release heat when it is abundant and to conserve or generate it when it is scarce. Without this regulation, the chemistry of life would falter. Proteins would lose their structure, enzymes would cease to function, and cells would fail to carry out their delicate tasks. With it, however, the body can adapt, endure, and flourish in a wide range of conditions. At the heart of this regulation lies the hypothalamus, a small region of the brain with a vital role in maintaining balance. It acts as the body's thermostat, receiving signals from temperature receptors in the skin and from deeper sensors in the blood. When the hypothalamus detects that the body is too warm or too cool, it activates mechanisms to restore equilibrium. These mechanisms may be swift or gradual, obvious or subtle, but all serve the same purpose: to keep the internal environment steady. The hypothalamus works in partnership with the nervous system and the endocrine system, sending out commands that adjust blood flow, sweating, shivering, and hormone release. When the body becomes too warm, several responses occur to release heat. Blood vessels near the surface of the skin widen, a process known as vasodilation. This allows more blood to flow close to the surface, where heat can escape into the air. The skin may appear flushed, a visible sign of this adjustment. Sweat glands also become active, releasing fluid onto the surface of the skin. As this sweat evaporates, it carries heat away, cooling the body. This process is highly effective, though it depends on environmental conditions. In dry air, sweat evaporates quickly, producing strong cooling. In humid air, evaporation slows, and the body struggles to release heat, leading to fatigue and discomfort. If cooling by sweat and blood flow is not enough, behavior adds another layer of regulation. A person may remove layers of clothing, seek shade, or slow their movements to reduce heat production. These conscious choices complement the automatic adjustments of the body, showing how physiology and behavior work together in the pursuit of balance. Even thirst plays a role, as fluid, lost in sweat, must be replaced to sustain cooling. When the body becomes too cold, a different set of responses occurs to conserve and generate heat. Blood vessels near the surface narrow, a process called vasoconstriction, reducing the flow of warm blood to the skin. The skin may appear pale or even bluish, conserving heat for the vital organs at the core. Muscles begin to contract rapidly in small bursts, producing the involuntary shaking known as shivering. Though it may feel uncomfortable, shivering generates heat by burning energy in the muscles. At the same time, small hairs on the skin lift in a reflex called piloerection. In humans, this produces little insulation, but in other mammals, it traps air close to the body, forming a layer of warmth. Hormones also play a part in cold regulation. The thyroid gland can increase metabolic rate, producing more heat throughout the body. The adrenal glands release adrenaline, which stimulates the breakdown of stored energy, generating warmth in the process. Over time, repeated exposure to cold may even lead to longer-term adjustments, such as improved circulation in extremities or increased production of heat-generating tissue known as brown fat. These adaptations reflect the body's remarkable ability to find balance, even in challenging environments. The consequences of failure in temperature regulation reveal its importance. When the body becomes too hot and cannot cool itself, heat exhaustion or heat stroke can occur, conditions marked by dizziness, weakness, and in severe cases, damage to the brain and other organs. When the body becomes too cold and cannot warm itself, hypothermia sets in, slowing reflexes, clouding thought, and eventually threatening life itself. Yet in both cases, the body resists for as long as possible, activating every mechanism of balance before giving way. This resistance shows how deeply the maintenance of temperature is woven into the fabric of survival. Daily rhythms also influence temperature regulation. The body is slightly warmer during the day, when activity and metabolism are higher, and slightly cooler at night, when rest and repair dominate. These fluctuations are small, yet they follow a predictable pattern, part of the circadian rhythm that guides sleep, alertness, and hormonal cycles. Even within this rhythm, the hypothalamus keeps temperature within safe bounds, adjusting for the ebb and flow of daily life. Temperature regulation also connects to emotion and stress. When anxiety rises, the sympathetic nervous system becomes active, often causing sweating, even in the absence of heat. This is sometimes called cold sweat, a reminder that the regulation of temperature is not only about physical conditions but also about the body's inner state. Similarly, embarrassment can cause blushing, a sudden dilation of blood vessels in the face that releases heat, but also signals emotion. These responses demonstrate that balance is not purely mechanical but is shaped by mind, mood, and social context as well. Clothing, shelter, and culture provide yet another layer of regulation. Human beings have extended their ability to maintain balance by creating environments that buffer against extremes. Houses with walls and roofs, fires for warmth, and fabrics that insulate or breathe all contribute to the regulation of temperature. These tools reduce the burden on the body, allowing it to conserve energy while still maintaining equilibrium. Yet even with these aids, the underlying mechanisms of vasodilation, sweating, shivering, and hormonal control remain at work, ready to respond when conditions demand. In reflecting on temperature regulation, one sees the delicate balance between energy and environment. Heat is both a byproduct of metabolism and a requirement for its continuation. The body must constantly decide whether to conserve or release it, adjusting circulation, behavior, and chemistry to match the conditions. Each adjustment is small, but together they sustain the constancy of life. Like a carefully tended fire, neither allowed to blaze out of control, nor to fade into embers, the body's warmth is kept steady, glowing quietly at its center. To sit in comfort is to forget the effort behind this constancy, but beneath that comfort lies a continuous dialogue between the body and its environment, between the hypothalamus and the skin, between sweat glands and kidneys, between behavior and physiology. The balance of temperature is not only a matter of survival but also a source of ease, allowing the body to rest, the mind to wander, and life to unfold without interruption. It is balance made tangible, felt in the warmth of the skin, the coolness of a breeze, and the steady rhythm of being alive. 7. Calcium balance and bone support. Calcium is often thought of as the mineral of bones and teeth, a hard and silent presence that gives the skeleton its strength. Yet its role in the body extends far beyond the frame that supports us. Calcium is also an active participant in muscle contraction, nerve communication, blood clotting, and countless cellular processes. Because it is so essential, the body guards its calcium balance with extraordinary care. A constant amount must be available in the bloodstream, ready to be delivered to tissues at a moment's notice, while a vast reservoir is stored in the bones, waiting to be called upon when needed. This partnership between storage and circulation ensures that the body remains stable, even as daily life shifts demand from one system to another. Most of the calcium in the human body resides in the skeleton, locked within the mineral matrix of bone. Here it provides rigidity, allowing bones to bear weight, protect organs, and anchor muscles. Yet bones are not static structures. They are living tissues, constantly undergoing renewal. Specialized cells known as osteoclasts break down old bone, releasing calcium into the blood, while others, called osteoblasts, build new bone, taking calcium back from circulation and incorporating it into fresh tissue. This continual cycle of breakdown and renewal, known as bone remodeling, allows the skeleton not only to maintain strength but also to serve as a dynamic storehouse of calcium. The bloodstream contains only a tiny fraction of the body's total calcium, yet this fraction is crucial. Muscles, including the heart, rely on calcium ions to trigger contraction. Nerves depend on calcium to release neurotransmitters, allowing messages to pass from cell to cell. When an injury occurs, calcium helps clot blood, preventing excessive loss. Even at the level of individual cells, calcium serves as a signal, controlling processes from enzyme activation to gene expression. Because so many vital functions depend on this mineral, its concentration in blood must remain within narrow limits, usually between 8 and 10 milligrams per deciliter. Too little, and nerves become overactive, causing tingling, spasms, or even dangerous convulsions. Too much, and muscles weaken, reflexes slow, and organs may be harmed by deposits of calcium salts. To maintain this balance, the body relies on hormones as regulators. Chief among them is parathyroid hormone, produced by the parathyroid glands, 4 small structures located just behind the thyroid in the neck. When blood calcium falls too low, these glands release parathyroid hormone, which acts in 3 ways. It signals bones to release calcium, instructs kidneys to conserve calcium by reducing its loss in urine, and stimulates the production of calcitriol, the active form of vitamin D, which enhances calcium absorption from food in the intestines. Through these actions, parathyroid hormone restores blood calcium to safe levels, protecting nerve and muscle function. Opposing this effect is calcitonin, a hormone secreted by the thyroid gland. When calcium levels rise too high, calcitonin encourages bones to absorb and store more calcium, while reducing the activity of cells that break down bone. It also allows kidneys to release more calcium into urine. Though its role in humans is less dominant than that of parathyroid hormone, calcitonin provides a counterbalance, ensuring that calcium does not climb to harmful levels. Together, these hormones form a feedback system that holds calcium within its proper range. Vitamin D, though often called a vitamin, acts in many ways like a hormone itself. Obtained from sunlight or diet, it is converted in the liver and kidneys to calcitriol, its active form. Calcitriol increases calcium absorption in the intestines, ensuring that dietary sources contribute to balance. Without adequate vitamin D, the body struggles to absorb calcium, and bones may weaken, leading to conditions such as rickets in children or osteomalacia in adults. Thus, vitamin D links the external environment to internal balance, translating sunlight and nourishment into the steady flow of calcium that the body requires. Calcium balance is also tied to phosphorus, another mineral that combines with calcium to form the crystalline structure of bone. The relationship between these two minerals is carefully managed, as excess of one can disrupt the other. Parathyroid hormone not only raises calcium but also lowers phosphorus levels in blood, preventing imbalances that could interfere with bone formation. This interplay shows how balance is rarely a matter of a single element but rather a network of relationships, each influencing the others in subtle ways. Life stages bring changing demands for calcium. In childhood and adolescence, bones grow rapidly, requiring abundant calcium to build strength and density. During these years, the balance leans toward storage, as osteoblasts outpace osteoclasts, adding more mineral to the skeleton. In adulthood, bone remodeling continues, but the rates of building and breakdown are roughly equal, maintaining stability. In older age, especially after menopause in women, bone breakdown often outpaces building, leading to gradual loss of density. This shift, known as osteoporosis, reflects a new phase of balance, one in which careful intake of calcium and vitamin D becomes even more important to support bone health. Diet plays a steady role in this story. Foods rich in calcium, such as dairy products, leafy greens, and fortified grains, provide the raw material for balance. Yet intake alone is not enough. The body must also absorb the mineral effectively, a process influenced by vitamin D, stomach acidity, and the presence of other nutrients. Excessive salt or caffeine, for instance, can increase calcium loss in urine, while regular weight-bearing exercise stimulates bone to absorb and retain more calcium. Thus, lifestyle becomes part of the balance, adding another layer to the interplay of hormones and tissues. Disorders of calcium balance illustrate how delicate this system island. Too little calcium in the diet, or a failure to absorb it, can lead to weakened bones and heightened nerve excitability. Overactive parathyroid glands can raise blood calcium excessively, weakening bones through constant breakdown, while also straining the kidneys with excess calcium excretion. Even certain medications or illnesses can tilt the balance, reminding us that stability depends on many factors working together. Yet in most cases, the body adjusts, drawing from its stores or altering hormone levels to preserve equilibrium. To reflect on calcium balance is to see the body's wisdom in using its structure as its storehouse. Bones are not only the scaffolding that supports movement but also the vault that keeps calcium safe, releasing or reclaiming it as needed. Each moment of balance is a conversation between hard mineral and flowing blood, between the solidity of bone and the fluidity of life. It is a reminder that even the hardest parts of us are alive, dynamic, and responsive to change. In every heartbeat, in every step, in every breath, calcium plays its part. It is present when a muscle contracts, when a nerve fires, when a wound heals, and when a child grows taller. It is the quiet mineral that links movement, thought, and growth to the enduring strength of bone. The regulation of calcium ensures that these functions remain steady, guarding life with the constancy of stone and the adaptability of water. It is balance made visible in the skeleton, and balance made invisible in the countless processes of the cells. In its harmony lies both strength and grace, the hidden support of life itself. 8. Glucose balance and energy supply. Among all the substances that the body regulates, glucose holds a special place. It is the body's primary source of fuel, the simple sugar that powers muscles, nerves, and organs alike. Every cell requires energy to carry out its tasks, and for most, that energy comes from glucose. Because it is so central, its levels in the blood must be carefully maintained. Too little, and cells are starved of fuel, impairing function and even threatening survival. Too much, and tissues can be damaged, blood vessels strained, and long-term health placed at risk. The maintenance of glucose balance, therefore, is one of the body's most delicate and continuous acts of regulation. The story of glucose begins with food. Carbohydrates in the diet, whether from bread, fruit, grains, or vegetables, are broken down during digestion into glucose molecules. These molecules are absorbed through the walls of the small intestine and enter the bloodstream. As blood glucose rises, it provides energy, but also triggers the systems that maintain balance. The pancreas, a gland nestled behind the stomach, plays the leading role in this regulation. Within it lie clusters of specialized cells known as the islets of Langerhans, which release hormones that either lower or raise blood glucose depending on the body's needs. When glucose levels rise after a meal, beta cells in the pancreas release insulin. This hormone acts as a key, unlocking the doors of cells so that glucose can enter. Muscle cells absorb glucose to fuel contraction. Liver cells store it as glycogen for later use, and fat cells convert it into triglycerides for long-term storage. As more cells take in glucose, blood levels fall, returning toward their normal range. Insulin also suppresses the release of glucose from the liver, ensuring that intake and storage are balanced. In this way, the body prevents dangerous spikes in blood sugar, smoothing the transition from feeding to fasting. When glucose levels fall, such as between meals or during physical exertion, a different set of signals arises. Alpha cells in the pancreas release glucagon, a hormone that tells the liver to break down glycogen and release glucose back into the blood. Fat stores may also be tapped, providing alternative fuels. These actions restore blood sugar, ensuring that the brain and other organs receive the steady supply they require. Unlike muscles, which can burn fat or protein when needed, the brain depends almost entirely on glucose. Because of this reliance, glucose balance is guarded with particular vigilance. The interplay of insulin and glucagon forms a classic feedback loop. Rising glucose stimulates insulin, which lowers it. Falling glucose stimulates glucagon, which raises it. Together, they maintain a steady level, usually between 70 and 100 milligrams per deciliter of blood. This constancy allows the body to function smoothly, with energy always available yet never overwhelming. Like a seesaw that tilts gently but never tips, glucose balance is dynamic but steady. Other hormones also influence this balance. Cortisol, produced by the adrenal glands, promotes glucose release during stress, ensuring that the body has energy to respond. Adrenaline, another adrenal hormone, acts rapidly to raise blood sugar in emergencies, fueling the fight or flight response. Growth hormone, secreted by the pituitary, reduces glucose uptake in some tissues, preserving it for others. Even thyroid hormones play a role. By setting the pace of metabolism and determining how quickly glucose is used, these influences show that glucose balance is not only about feeding and fasting, but also about adapting to life's challenges, from exercise to emotion to illness. Exercise itself offers a clear example of glucose regulation in action. When muscles contract, they demand more fuel. At first, stored glycogen within the muscles provides glucose, but soon the liver steps in, releasing more into the blood. Insulin levels fall slightly, while glucagon and adrenaline rise, ensuring that energy is supplied where it is most needed. After exercise ends, insulin sensitivity in muscles increases, allowing them to replenish their glycogen stores more efficiently. This cycle illustrates how balance is not rigid but responsive, adjusting to both activity and rest. When glucose balance falters, the effects are immediate. If levels fall too low, a condition known as hypoglycemia, symptoms such as dizziness, sweating, trembling, and confusion appear. These are signals of the brain's urgent need for fuel. In severe cases, seizures or unconsciousness can result. The body resists this drop with every tool it has, releasing glucagon, cortisol, and adrenaline. But prolonged deprivation can overwhelm its defenses. On the other side lies hyperglycemia, when glucose levels rise too high. In the short term, this may cause thirst, frequent urination, and fatigue. In the long term, persistently high glucose can damage blood vessels, nerves, kidneys. The condition of diabetes mellitus arises when insulin is insufficient, ineffective, or resisted by cells. In type 1 diabetes, the immune system destroys the pancreas's beta cells, leaving the body without insulin. In type 2 diabetes, cells become resistant to insulin's effects, requiring more and more to achieve the same result. Both conditions disrupt balance, requiring external management through diet, exercise, or medication. These challenges highlight the importance of glucose regulation and the many systems devoted to it. Despite such difficulties, the body's design shows remarkable resilience. Even in fasting, when food is scarce for hours or days, balance is preserved. The liver continues to release glucose from glycogen stores, and when these run low, it begins to synthesize glucose from amino acids and other precursors in a process called gluconeogenesis. Fat stores are mobilized as well, producing ketone bodies that serve as alternative fuel for many tissues. These adaptations ensure that the brain and heart receive the energy they require, even when external supply is limited. Balance is maintained, though by different means, reflecting the flexibility of life. Dietary patterns also influence glucose balance. Meals rich in simple sugars can cause rapid spikes in blood glucose, followed by steep drops. Foods with complex carbohydrates, fiber, and protein, by contrast, produce steadier rises and falls, easing the work of insulin and glucagon. This is why balance in nutrition mirrors balance in physiology, with moderation and variety supporting the body's natural rhythms. The choices made in eating become part of the larger network of regulation, shaping energy availability and long-term health. Glucose balance is not only about fuel, but also about communication. Within cells, glucose metabolism generates signals that influence growth, gene expression, and adaptation. In the brain, fluctuations in glucose contribute to sensations of hunger and satiety, guiding behavior. When glucose falls, the hypothalamus generates hunger signals, urging the search for food. When it rises after eating, other signals suppress appetite, creating a sense of fullness. In this way, glucose participates not only in sustaining life, but also in shaping the rhythms of daily living. To reflect on glucose balance is to see the body as a patient steward of energy. Every bite of food is transformed into fuel, stored, released, and used with care. The pancreas watches constantly, releasing insulin or glucagon as needed. The liver acts as a reservoir, offering or conserving its stores. The muscles and fat cells respond, absorbing energy or saving it for later. The brain receives a steady flow, ensuring that thought, memory, and consciousness continue without interruption. All of this happens silently, without need for our attention. A harmony of chemistry that sustains the flow of life. In its steadiness, glucose balance embodies the essence of homeostasis. It is not about keeping levels exactly the same, but about allowing them to rise and fall within safe bounds, meeting the demands of feeding, fasting, activity, and rest. It is a rhythm, a gentle oscillation around equilibrium, one that reflects both the immediacy of daily needs and the persistence of long-term health. Like a lamp kept at just the right brightness, neither flickering out nor burning too hot, Glucose balance ensures that energy is always present in the right measure. It is balance in its purest form, quiet, constant, and essential to life. 9. Oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange. Breathing is one of the most natural and unnoticed rhythms of life, a gentle cycle that continues day and night without conscious effort. With each inhalation, oxygen is drawn in, a molecule that fuels the very processes of life. With each exhalation, carbon dioxide is released, a byproduct of that fuel being burned. The balance between these two gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide, is one of the most carefully maintained aspects of human physiology. It is a balance that sustains every organ, every tissue, and every cell. A balance so seamless that we rarely notice it until a breath becomes difficult or interrupted. Oxygen is essential because it serves as the final acceptor of electrons in the process of cellular respiration. In the tiny powerhouses of cells known as mitochondria, nutrients such as glucose are broken down to release energy. This process requires oxygen, which binds with hydrogen to form water, allowing the transfer of electrons to continue. Without oxygen, the chain halts. Energy cannot be efficiently produced, and cells begin to falter. Carbon dioxide, meanwhile, is the waste product of this process. It must be removed, for if it accumulates, it disrupts the delicate balance of acidity in the blood, leading to dangerous conditions. Thus, oxygen must be constantly supplied and carbon dioxide constantly removed, a never-ending exchange that keeps life steady. The organs of respiration, led by the lungs, carry out this exchange with remarkable efficiency. When air enters through the nose or mouth, it travels down the trachea, through branching bronchi, and into smaller bronchioles, finally reaching tiny air sacs called alveoli. These alveoli, numbering in the hundreds of millions, provide a vast surface area where air meets blood. Their thin walls are lined with capillaries, so close that oxygen and carbon dioxide can diffuse across in fractions of a second. Oxygen passes from the air into the blood, binding to hemoglobin in red blood cells. Carbon dioxide moves in the opposite direction, from blood into air, ready to be exhaled. With each breath, this quiet trade takes place, invisible yet indispensable. Hemoglobin plays a central role in this system. Each molecule can carry 4 oxygen molecules, holding them loosely enough to release them when needed, but tightly enough to transport them safely. Hemoglobin changes its shape depending on oxygen concentration, releasing oxygen in tissues where levels are low and picking it up again in the lungs where levels are high. This adaptability ensures that oxygen is delivered precisely where it is required, supporting active muscles, busy neurons, and every cell engaged in the work of life. Carbon dioxide, too, is transported by hemoglobin, though much of it travels dissolved in plasma or converted into bicarbonate, a form that helps buffer the blood's acidity. The regulation of breathing itself is guided not primarily by oxygen but by carbon dioxide. Specialized receptors in the brain and blood vessels monitor the levels of this gas and the acidity it creates. When carbon dioxide rises, breathing becomes deeper and faster, expelling the excess. When carbon dioxide falls, breathing slows, conserving it. This may seem surprising, given oxygen's importance, but it reflects the body's need to maintain pH within a narrow range. Carbon dioxide directly influences acidity, and small changes can have large effects. By regulating carbon dioxide, the body indirectly ensures that oxygen intake is also sufficient, maintaining both gases in harmony. The rhythm of breathing adjusts seamlessly to activity. At rest, a few quiet breaths each minute suffice to maintain balance. During exercise, as muscles burn more fuel, oxygen demand rises and carbon dioxide production increases. The brain senses these changes and sends signals to increase breathing rate and depth. The heart also beats faster, moving blood more quickly between lungs and tissues. The result is a synchronized response in which oxygen delivery and carbon dioxide removal rise to match the new demand. When activity ceases, breathing and circulation gradually return to their resting pace, restoring the calm rhythm of balance. Altitude provides another perspective on oxygen balance. At higher elevations, the air contains less oxygen, making it harder for the body to absorb what it needs. In response, breathing becomes deeper and more rapid. Over days and weeks, the body adapts further, producing more red blood cells to carry oxygen, increasing hemoglobin levels, and even altering cellular processes to use oxygen more efficiently. These adjustments show the flexibility of balance, how the body finds new ways to sustain equilibrium when conditions shift. Travelers may feel short of breath at first, but with time, the balance reasserts itself, allowing life to continue even in thin air. Disruptions to oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange reveal how fragile balance can be. In conditions such as asthma, airways narrow, making it difficult for air to reach the alveoli. In pneumonia, fluid fills the alveoli, reducing the surface available for exchange. In chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, the structure of the lungs is damaged, limiting airflow and elasticity. In each case, the body struggles to maintain balance, often increasing breathing effort and heart rate to compensate. Medical interventions such as oxygen therapy or ventilation provide support, but the underlying principle remains the same: the body's constant need for oxygen intake and carbon dioxide release. Even in health, breathing reflects balance between automatic and voluntary control. Most of the time, breathing is governed by the brainstem, requiring no thought. Yet at any moment, we can take a deep breath, hold it, or speak, overriding the automatic system. This dual control allows both constancy and flexibility, ensuring that breathing remains steady while also adapting to expression, song, or exertion. It is a reminder that balance in the body is not rigid but responsive, capable of integrating conscious choice with unconscious necessity. The experience of breath also carries emotional and spiritual significance. A sigh may relieve tension, a slow breath may calm the mind, and rapid breathing may reflect fear or excitement. These patterns show how closely linked breathing is to emotion and how balance extends beyond chemistry into the realm of feeling. Practices such as meditation and deep breathing exercises harness this connection, using conscious breath to influence calm, focus, and relaxation. In doing so, they highlight the role of breathing, not only in sustaining life but also in shaping the quality of life. The exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide is thus more than a mechanical act. It is a rhythm that reflects the essence of balance: intake and release, fuel and waste, constancy and adaptation. With each breath, the body renews itself, providing the oxygen that powers every heartbeat, every thought, every movement, while clearing away the carbon dioxide that would otherwise disrupt the whole. It is a process so quiet and reliable that it fades into the background. Yet it is also the foundation of life, a balance that must never cease. To pause and notice the breath is to glimpse this balance directly. The coolness of air entering the nose, the gentle expansion of the chest, the warmth of air leaving again, all are signs of the endless exchange that sustains us. Oxygen enters, carbon dioxide departs, and with each cycle, the body is restored to equilibrium. This is balance in its purest form: simple, constant, and profoundly life-giving. 10. Acid-base balance. The balance of acids and bases in the body is one of the quietest yet most important aspects of human physiology. Unlike the steady rhythm of breathing or the visible act of sweating, it unfolds silently within the blood and tissues, a chemistry that must remain within narrow limits for life to continue. This balance is expressed as pH, a measure of how acidic or alkaline a solution island. For the human body, blood pH must stay within the narrow range of about 7.35 to 7.45. It is a range so small that even a slight shift can disrupt enzymes, alter protein structure, and endanger life. Yet despite constant challenges, the body maintains this balance with remarkable precision, using a combination of buffers, lungs, and kidneys to keep the inner environment safe. To understand this balance, it helps to imagine the body as a vast chemical workshop. Every reaction, from the breakdown of glucose to the contraction of muscle, produces byproducts. Many of these byproducts are acidic. Carbon dioxide, for example, when dissolved in water, forms carbonic acid, subtly lowering pH. Lactic acid accumulates during strenuous exercise, when muscles work without enough oxygen. Even the metabolism of proteins produces acids, such as sulfuric and phosphoric acid. If these were allowed to accumulate unchecked, the blood would quickly become too acidic for enzymes and cells to function. On the other hand, certain processes can push the balance in the opposite direction, making blood too alkaline. The body's survival depends on keeping both extremes at bay, maintaining a delicate neutrality where chemical reactions can proceed smoothly. The first line of defense in this system is buffers, molecules that resist changes in pH by binding or releasing hydrogen ions. The most important buffer in the blood is the bicarbonate system, a partnership between bicarbonate ions and carbonic acid. When acids increase, bicarbonate binds hydrogen ions, reducing acidity. When bases increase, carbonic acid releases hydrogen ions, restoring acidity. This buffer system is swift, acting within seconds, and it operates continuously as the body produces carbon dioxide and other acids. Proteins, too, serve as buffers, with hemoglobin in red blood cells playing a particularly important role. Hemoglobin not only carries oxygen but also binds hydrogen ions, helping to stabilize pH as blood flows from the lungs to the tissues. The second line of defense lies in the lungs. Through breathing, the body can adjust carbon dioxide levels, and with them, acidity. When carbon dioxide rises, blood becomes more acidic. To correct this, breathing deepens and quickens, releasing more carbon dioxide into the air and raising pH back toward normal. When carbon dioxide falls too low, breathing slows, retaining the gas and lowering pH again. This respiratory adjustment occurs within minutes, faster than the kidneys but slower than buffers, providing a medium-term way of maintaining balance. It is this mechanism that explains why breathing changes during exercise, illness, or even strong emotion. The body is not only responding to oxygen demand but also fine-tuning acidity through carbon dioxide release. The third and most powerful line of defense lies in the kidneys. Though slower, taking hours to days, the kidneys provide lasting correction by excreting hydrogen ions into urine and reabsorbing bicarbonate into the blood. This process ensures that acids generated by metabolism do not accumulate indefinitely. If the body is in a state of acidosis, the kidneys work to remove more hydrogen and retain more bicarbonate. If the body drifts toward alkalosis, the opposite occurs, because the kidneys handle many other functions as well, regulating water, salts, and blood pressure. Their role in acid-base balance is part of a larger orchestration of homeostasis. Their precision ensures that even chronic challenges, such as dietary influences or disease, can be met with resilience. Disruptions to this balance can take the form of acidosis or alkalosis, each with respiratory and metabolic varieties. Respiratory acidosis occurs when breathing is impaired, as in lung disease, leading to excess carbon dioxide and increased acidity. Respiratory alkalosis arises when breathing is too rapid, as in hyperventilation, leading to carbon dioxide loss and increased alkalinity. Metabolic acidosis occurs when acids build up or bicarbonate is lost, as in kidney failure, diabetes, or severe diarrhea. Metabolic alkalosis arises when bases accumulate or acids are lost, as in prolonged vomiting or excess bicarbonate intake. In each case, the body strives to compensate: lungs adjusting breathing, kidneys altering excretion, buffers absorbing excess. But if the imbalance is too great, symptoms appear: fatigue, confusion, irregular heartbeat, and in severe cases, coma or death may result from significant shifts in pH. Everyday life provides glimpses of this balance at work. During intense exercise, lactic acid builds up in muscles, lowering pH locally. Buffers respond immediately, and breathing accelerates to expel more carbon dioxide. The familiar sensation of heavy breathing after exertion is not only about oxygen demand, but also about restoring acid-base equilibrium. In sleep, breathing slows, and carbon dioxide levels rise slightly, gently lowering pH, but within safe limits, thanks to buffering. Even the simple act of holding one's breath causes a rise in carbon dioxide, sensed by chemoreceptors, which soon trigger the urge to breathe again. These examples remind us that acid-base balance is not abstract chemistry but a constant presence in our daily rhythms. Diet can also influence this balance. Foods rich in protein, such as meat, generate acidic byproducts, while fruits and vegetables, particularly those high in potassium and magnesium, tend to be more alkaline forming. The kidneys handle these variations, adjusting excretion to maintain neutrality. This is why balance does not depend on a single meal, but on the body's continuous ability to respond. Water intake, mineral content, and even lifestyle factors such as stress or activity all play subtle roles in the larger picture of pH regulation. The elegance of acid-base balance lies in its layering. Buffers provide the immediate defense, acting within seconds. The lungs adjust within minutes, changing breathing to influence carbon dioxide. The kidneys provide the long-term correction, shaping the chemistry of blood over hours and days. Together, they create resilience, ensuring that despite constant acid production, the inner environment remains steady. It is a system built on redundancy and cooperation, each part supporting the others to keep the whole in harmony. To reflect on this balance is to appreciate how narrow the window of Life Island. A shift of even a few tenths of a pH unit can threaten survival. Yet within that narrow range, countless reactions unfold in perfect order. Enzymes fold correctly, proteins interact as they should, and cells perform their functions with grace. This constancy allows for the complexity of life, for thought, movement, and growth. Without it, the delicate machinery of the body would falter. Though we rarely sense it directly, acid-base balance touches every moment of existence. It is there when a runner breathes heavily after a sprint, when a sigh relieves tension, when a sip of water eases digestion. It is there in the stillness of sleep and the urgency of exertion, always adjusting, always restoring. It is balance expressed, not in visible motion, but in invisible chemistry, no less vital for its silence. In the end, acid-base balance is another expression of homeostasis, the body's quiet commitment to steadiness. It is the hidden backdrop of life, the neutral canvas upon which all other functions are painted. By keeping blood just slightly alkaline, neither too acidic nor too basic, the body creates a space where life can flourish, fragile yet resilient, constant yet adaptive. It is a balance both invisible and indispensable, the gentle chemistry of survival. 11. Balance in movement and posture, to stand upright, to walk without falling, to bend and then return to stillness. These are actions so ordinary that they often pass unnoticed. Yet beneath the simplicity of each step lies a profound system of balance, a continuous adjustment of muscles, joints, senses, and nerves that work together to keep the body aligned. Balance in movement and posture is one of the most elegant demonstrations of the body's coordination. It is not a single action but an ongoing process, a dance of small corrections that allow us to remain steady in a world that is always shifting beneath us. The foundation of this balance begins with the senses. The inner ear, deep within the skull, contains structures dedicated to equilibrium. The vestibular system, as it is called, is composed of semicircular canals and tiny sacs filled with fluid and sensory hair cells. When the head moves, the fluid within these canals shifts, bending the hair cells and sending signals to the brain about the direction and speed of movement. This system allows the body to know its position in space, even in darkness or when the eyes are closed. It is a silent navigator, always informing the brain of orientation, acceleration, and tilt. The eyes also contribute to balance. Vision provides constant feedback about the body's position relative to the environment. A horizon line, a nearby wall, or the movement of objects all help orient posture. When the visual field shifts unexpectedly, as on a swaying boat, the sense of balance is challenged, leading to the familiar feeling of unsteadiness. Yet with time, the body adapts, learning to rely more on inner signals than on shifting surroundings. This adaptability shows how vision, while vital, is not the only contributor to equilibrium. A third source of information comes from proprioception, the body's awareness of itself. Specialized receptors in muscles, tendons, and joints sense, stretch, tension, and angle, sending messages to the brain about limb, position, and movement. Without looking, a person can touch their finger to their nose, because proprioceptors constantly report where the arm and hand are. In standing, these receptors detect tiny sways of the body, allowing muscles to respond before balance is lost. Proprioception is sometimes called the sixth sense, for it provides an awareness of the body from within, complementing vision and the inner ear to create a complete picture of posture. All of this information, vestibular, visual, and proprioceptive, flows to the brain, where it is integrated into a coherent sense of balance. The cerebellum, located at the back of the brain, plays a central role in this integration. It compares sensory inputs with motor commands, fine-tuning muscle activity to match intentions with reality. If the body sways forward, the cerebellum quickly adjusts signals to the leg muscles to pull it back. If the eyes detect uneven ground, the cerebellum coordinates posture so that steps are careful and steady. This constant comparison and correction occurs automatically, without conscious thought, allowing attention to rest on other tasks, while balance is maintained in the background. The muscles themselves are the effectors of balance. Postural muscles, such as those of the back, abdomen, and legs, remain partially active even in stillness, providing a base of support. This low-level contraction, known as muscle tone, prevents collapse and allows quick responses to shifts. When balance is challenged by a push, a stumble, or a sudden change in direction, larger contractions occur, restoring alignment. Reflexes make these adjustments almost instantaneous. A slip of the foot on ice triggers rapid signals through the spinal cord, contracting muscles to steady the body before the brain has time to consciously react. Such reflexes demonstrate the body's dedication to stability, acting in fractions of a second to prevent falls. Walking itself is a miracle of balance. Each step involves the shifting of weight from one foot to the other, a controlled fall that must be caught and corrected. The body sways slightly with each stride, and muscles adjust to prevent tipping. The arms swing naturally, counterbalancing the legs and reducing rotation. Even the head remains steady, stabilized by reflexes that adjust neck muscles as the body moves. Running, jumping, or turning sharply add complexity, but the principles remain the same. A constant negotiation between momentum and stability, guided by the senses and executed by the muscles. Balance and posture extends beyond standing and walking. Sitting upright at a desk requires the coordination of back and abdominal muscles to prevent slumping. Reaching overhead requires adjustments in the legs and spine to keep the center of gravity aligned. Even lying down involves balance, as muscles shift to keep the body comfortable and aligned with the surface beneath it. In every position, the body makes subtle changes to distribute weight, reduce strain, and maintain harmony. The center of gravity is a key concept in this balance. Located near the lower abdomen, it represents the point where the body's weight is evenly distributed. Movements such as bending, stretching, or carrying a load all alter the center of gravity, and the body responds by shifting posture to keep it within the base of support. A wide stance lowers the center of gravity and increases stability, while a narrow stance makes balance more precarious. Gymnasts, dancers, and athletes train to control their center of gravity with precision. But even in ordinary life, every person adjusts it constantly, without thinking, leaning, shifting, and repositioning to remain upright. When balance is disturbed, the consequences are immediate. Dizziness, whether from inner ear disturbance, low blood pressure, or fatigue, creates a sensation of instability. Without accurate information, the brain struggles to coordinate movement, and posture falters. Illnesses such as vertigo highlight the reliance on the vestibular system, while neuropathies that damage proprioceptors show the importance of internal awareness. Yet even in such conditions, the body often adapts, leaning more heavily on vision or developing new strategies to maintain stability. This adaptability reveals the resilience of the balance system, its ability to find harmony even when parts of it are compromised. Age brings its own changes to balance. Muscles may weaken, reflexes may slow, and sensory systems may lose some of their sharpness. These shifts make falls more common in older adults, a reminder that balance depends on the seamless cooperation of many systems. Yet exercises that strengthen muscles, improve flexibility, and challenge coordination can preserve balance well into later life. Practices such as Tai Chi or yoga emphasize controlled movement and awareness of posture, enhancing stability while also calming the mind. In this way, balance becomes both a physical and a meditative practice, linking body and mind in harmony. The importance of balance in movement and posture extends beyond survival. It shapes grace, efficiency, and confidence. A steady posture conveys calm. A smooth stride reflects coordination, and the ability to move freely, without fear of falling, enhances quality of life. Behind these qualities lies a system of constant adjustment, a silent orchestration that allows movement to appear effortless. The sway of standing, the rhythm of walking, the poise of sitting, all are products of balance maintained moment by moment. To reflect on this system is to appreciate the quiet labor of the senses, nerves, and muscles. Balance is not a single act but a continuum, an ever-present process that allows freedom of movement and stability of posture. It is the invisible partner to every action, the steadying force behind every gesture. Just as the body maintains temperature, water, and glucose, it also maintains orientation in space, ensuring that life unfolds not in stumbling, but in steadiness. In this balance of movement and posture lies both survival and beauty, the hidden art of simply being upright in the world. 12. Balance in the immune system. The immune system is one of the most intricate guardians of balance in the human body. Its purpose is to defend against invaders such as bacteria, viruses, and parasites, while at the same time protecting the body's own tissues from harm. This is no simple task. The immune system must be strong enough to fight infection, yet restrained enough not to attack the body itself. It must react swiftly to danger, but also quiet itself when the threat has passed. In essence, the immune system is a delicate balance of vigilance and tolerance, a living shield that constantly adjusts to maintain harmony within. Unlike organs that can be pointed to and held in the mind as a single structure, the immune system is distributed throughout the body. It is made up of specialized cells, tissues, and molecules that circulate in the blood and reside in bone marrow, lymph nodes, spleen, and even in the lining of the gut and skin. White blood cells, or leukocytes, form the backbone of this defense, each type carrying unique abilities. Neutrophils engulf and destroy bacteria. Lymphocytes coordinate responses and remember past infections. And macrophages patrol tissues, cleaning away debris and signaling when trouble arises. Together, they form a mobile and adaptive army, always on guard. The balance begins with the recognition of what belongs and what does not. Every cell in the body carries markers, molecules on its surface that signal self. The immune system learns to recognize these markers early in life, and generally leaves such cells unharmed. Invaders, however, carry different markers, often proteins or sugars, unique to their species. When immune cells detect these foreign signals, they become active, releasing chemicals and mobilizing defenses. This ability to distinguish self from non-self is at the heart of immune balance. When it succeeds, the body is protected. When it falters, as in autoimmune diseases, the immune system mistakenly attacks its own tissues, disrupting harmony. The immune system operates on two levels: innate and adaptive. The innate system is the body's immediate, general defense. It includes barriers like skin and mucous membranes, as well as cells that attack invaders indiscriminately. The innate system acts quickly, often within minutes or hours, containing threats before they spread. The adaptive system, by contrast, is slower but more precise. It learns to recognize specific pathogens and develops targeted responses. Once it has encountered a threat, it remembers it, mounting a faster and stronger response upon future exposure. This memory is the principle behind vaccination, which safely introduces a fragment of a pathogen to train the immune system without causing illness. The balance between innate and adaptive immunity ensures that the body has both speed and precision, both general defense and specific targeting. Inflammation is one of the immune system's most visible responses, and it illustrates the fine line of balance. When tissue is injured or invaded, blood vessels widen, bringing immune cells to the site. Fluid accumulates, and chemicals are released to destroy microbes and begin repair. The result is redness, warmth, swelling, and pain, signs that the immune system is at work. Yet inflammation must be temporary. If it continues unchecked, it can damage healthy tissue and contribute to chronic disease. Thus, the immune system not only initiates inflammation, but also resolves it, calling in regulatory cells that quiet the response once the danger is past. This ability to both start and stop is central to immune balance. The gut provides a striking example of immune harmony. Lined with trillions of bacteria, the intestines are in constant contact with foreign organisms. Many of these bacteria are beneficial, helping to digest food, produce vitamins, and support metabolism. The immune system must tolerate these helpful microbes while remaining ready to act against harmful ones. Specialized cells in the gut wall sample microbes, distinguishing friend from foe, If balance is maintained, the relationship is mutually supportive. If balance is lost, as in inflammatory bowel disease, the immune system overreacts, treating harmless bacteria as enemies and creating chronic inflammation. Here again, the theme is not simple defense but measured response. Balance in the immune system is also seen in its connection to stress and rest. During times of acute stress, hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline influence immune cells, sometimes enhancing their activity, other times suppressing it. Short-term stress can sharpen defenses, preparing the body to heal wounds or fight infection. Chronic stress, however, often weakens immunity, leaving the body more vulnerable to illness. Sleep, by contrast, strengthens immune balance. During deep rest, the body releases growth hormone and other substances that promote repair, and immune memory is consolidated. This is why recovery from illness often requires sleep, and why lack of rest can tip the immune system out of harmony. Vaccination provides a clear example of how the immune system learns while maintaining balance. When a vaccine introduces a harmless piece of a pathogen, the adaptive system responds as though facing the real threat. Antibodies are produced, and memory cells are formed. Later, if the body encounters the true pathogen, the immune response is swift and effective. This capacity for memory is part of the immune system's long-term balance, ensuring that past challenges strengthen future resilience. At the same time, the immune system must avoid overreacting to harmless substances, such as pollen or dust. When it fails in this, allergies occur, the result of a defense system mistaking benign particles for dangerous invaders. Sneezing, itching, and swelling are the outward signs of this imbalance. Autoimmune diseases reveal another form of imbalance. Conditions such as type 1 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, and lupus occur when the immune system turns against the body's own tissues. The reasons are complex, involving genetics, environment, and sometimes infection. But the result is the same: the failure of self-recognition. Instead of protecting balance, the immune system becomes a source of disruption. Treatments for such conditions often aim not at destroying immunity, but at calming it, restoring the quiet restraint that is as important as its vigor. Cancer offers a further perspective. Normally, immune cells patrol for abnormal cells and remove them, preserving balance. Yet cancer cells can sometimes evade detection, cloaking themselves from recognition. Modern medicine has developed therapies that reawaken the immune system to these hidden threats, harnessing its natural power to restore harmony. These treatments highlight the immune system's dual role as both protector and potential ally in healing, always seeking equilibrium between action and tolerance. The immune system's balance extends beyond the physical. Emotional well-being, social connection, and even outlook appear to influence immunity. Studies suggest that loneliness or prolonged sadness can weaken defenses, while connection, laughter, and positive states of mind may strengthen them. Though the exact pathways are still being studied, it is clear that the immune system is not isolated, but woven into the whole fabric of life, responsive not only to microbes and injuries, but also to the broader rhythms of experience. To reflect on the immune system is to recognize its paradox. It must be both fierce and gentle, active and restrained, quick and enduring. It must attack invaders without harming the body, defend vigorously without creating chaos, and remember past threats without overreacting to the present. It is balance at its most complex, balance expressed through vigilance, memory, and regulation. Without it, life would be overwhelmed by infection or consumed by self-destruction. With it, the body enjoys the quiet security of protection, able to focus on growth, repair, and the daily rhythms of being alive. In this way, The immune system is more than a defense. It is a guardian of harmony. Its balance allows the body to exist in a world filled with microbes, to recover from injury, to adapt to change, and to continue the work of life. Silent most of the time, it springs into action when needed, then just as quietly withdraws, leaving the body restored to calm. It is the unseen balance of vigilance and peace, a steady background presence that allows every heartbeat, every breath, and every thought to unfold in safety. 13. Digestive balance and nutrient flow. The act of eating seems simple on the surface. Food is taken in, chewed, swallowed, and later digested. Yet beneath this familiar rhythm lies one of the most finely tuned balancing systems in the human body. The digestive system is responsible not only for breaking food down into usable nutrients, but also for distributing those nutrients in the right amounts, at the right times, to the right places. It must extract what is needed while discarding what is not, and it must do so in harmony with the body's broader needs for energy, repair, and growth. This flow of nutrients is a quiet river, moving through us with every meal, and its balance is essential for life. The process begins in the mouth, where the first stage of balance is already at work. Saliva moistens food, making it easier to chew and swallow. But it also contains enzymes that begin breaking down starches into sugars. Even here, the body is calibrating digestion, signaling the rest of the system that food has arrived. The simple act of chewing activates nerves that prepare the stomach and intestines, releasing small amounts of digestive juices in anticipation. This coordination ensures that the body does not waste resources when no food is present. And yet it is ready the moment nourishment begins. As food moves into the stomach, balance takes the form of controlled breakdown. The stomach secretes acid strong enough to dissolve much of what we eat, but it does so with care. The lining of the stomach protects itself with mucus, creating a barrier between tissue and acid. Muscular walls churn the food, mixing it with gastric juices, reducing it to a substance called chyme. Yet this mixing is gradual, paced so that the small intestine receives only as much as it can process at a time. Too rapid an emptying would overwhelm the intestine. Too slow a pace would hinder energy supply. The stomach maintains this balance by releasing chyme in waves, a careful handoff from one stage to the next. The small intestine is the central site of nutrient absorption, and it too reflects balance at every turn. Enzymes from the pancreas flow in, breaking proteins into amino acids, fats into fatty acids, and carbohydrates into simple sugars. Bile from the liver and gallbladder emulsifies fats, allowing them to be absorbed. The lining of the small intestine, covered with tiny finger-like villi, increases surface area enormously, maximizing absorption while keeping flow steady. As nutrients pass into the bloodstream, signals are sent back to the stomach and pancreas, regulating the release of further juices and slowing or speeding digestion to maintain harmony. This feedback loop ensures that absorption matches the body's needs without excess or deficiency. The liver serves as a great regulator in this system, balancing what is absorbed with what is stored. Blood from the intestines flows first to the liver, carrying newly absorbed nutrients. The liver monitors this flow, storing glucose as glycogen when levels are high, and releasing it when levels fall. It processes amino acids, converting them into proteins or breaking them down for energy. It transforms fats into forms that can circulate in the blood, and it removes toxins that might disrupt balance. In this way, the liver acts as both a guardian and a manager, ensuring that the nutrient flow supports the whole body without overwhelming any part. The pancreas, in addition to its digestive enzymes, provides hormonal balance through insulin and glucagon, regulating blood sugar, as discussed earlier. This shows how interconnected the systems are, Digestion does not stop with breaking food down, but must coordinate with energy regulation, water balance, and even immune function. The gut itself contains a vast number of immune cells, ready to act if harmful bacteria enter with food. This immune presence is part of balance too, allowing digestion to proceed peacefully most of the time, while remaining ready to defend when needed. The large intestine provides the final stage of digestive balance. Here, water and salts are reabsorbed, turning the liquid chyme into solid waste. Beneficial bacteria play a vital role, breaking down fibers that the body cannot digest, producing vitamins such as K and certain B vitamins, and contributing to metabolic balance. This community of microbes, known as the gut microbiota, is increasingly recognized as a partner in health, influencing not only digestion, but also immunity, mood, and metabolism. Balance here means not only harmony between organs, but also between human cells and microbial companions. When this partnership is disturbed, as in dysbiosis, problems such as bloating, diarrhea, or inflammation can arise. Restoring microbial balance often restores digestive harmony as well. The signals that regulate digestion highlight its dynamic nature. Hormones such as gastrin, secretin, and cholecystokinin coordinate the release of acid, enzymes, and bile. Nerves from the autonomic system influence motility, speeding or slowing contractions depending on the body's state. If the body is at rest, the parasympathetic system encourages digestion, promoting secretion and absorption. If the body is stressed or active, the sympathetic system slows digestion, conserving energy for muscles and heart. This shifting priority reflects balance on a larger scale. The body decides moment by moment how to allocate resources, ensuring that digestion fits into the wider needs of survival. Disruptions in digestive balance can take many forms. When acid escapes the stomach into the esophagus, heartburn results. When the stomach empties too quickly, discomfort and diarrhea may occur. When motility slows, constipation follows. In each case, balance has tilted, and the system signals discomfort to prompt correction. Conditions such as irritable bowel syndrome reflect a more complex imbalance, involving sensitivity, motility, and perhaps microbial changes. Yet even in such disorders, the body's drive is always toward equilibrium, toward finding a rhythm that sustains rather than disturbs. Diet and lifestyle play major roles in supporting this balance. A varied intake of nutrients provides the raw materials for repair and energy. Fiber supports healthy movement of food and nourishes beneficial microbes. Hydration ensures that absorption and elimination proceed smoothly. Regular meals help synchronize digestive rhythms with hormonal cycles. Rest, too, is important, for sleep influences not only immunity, but also digestive hormones and microbial balance. In this way, daily habits interact with physiology to create a stable environment for nutrient flow. Beyond the mechanics lies a deeper truth. Digestion is about transformation. What begins as food outside the body becomes part of the body through careful breakdown, absorption, and distribution. A grain of rice becomes glucose fueling thought. A piece of fruit becomes vitamins supporting vision. A bite of bread becomes amino acids repairing muscle. This transformation is only possible because of balance, because the digestive system manages each stage with care, ensuring that nutrients arrive where they are needed without overwhelming the whole. To pause and reflect on digestion is to see the hidden current of nourishment that flows within. Each meal is a spark of potential energy, carefully guided by enzymes, hormones, and organs, until it becomes life itself. The balance of digestion is not a single act, but a continuous river, flowing from mouth to intestine to blood, from food to cell to energy. It is one of the most intimate expressions of homeostasis, linking the outer world to the inner ensuring that the act of eating becomes the act of living. In its harmony lies not only survival but also the quiet pleasure of sustenance, the simple reassurance that the body is cared for, nourished, and kept in balance. 14. Sleep as a restorative balance. Sleep is one of the most mysterious and yet most essential rhythms of human life. It is a state that occupies nearly a third of our existence, and yet for much of history it was poorly understood, seen as a simple period of inactivity. Today, science reveals that sleep is anything but idle. It is an active, restorative process in which the body recalibrates, the brain consolidates memory, and countless internal systems return to balance. Just as water, temperature, and glucose must be regulated, so too must wakefulness and rest. Sleep is the nightly balance, a cycle that renews the body and mind, preserving health and harmony. The body's need for sleep is guided by two forces: circadian rhythm and sleep pressure. Circadian rhythm is the internal clock that follows roughly 24 hours, synchronized to light and darkness in the environment. The brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, located in the hypothalamus, keeps this rhythm steady, responding to signals from the eyes about daylight and nightfall. As evening approaches, this clock triggers the release of melatonin, a hormone that promotes drowsiness, preparing the body for rest. Sleep pressure, on the other hand, builds steadily during waking hours, as adenosine, a byproduct of energy use, accumulates in the brain. The longer one stays awake, the greater the pressure, until rest becomes irresistible. These two forces work together, balancing the cycle of wake and sleep, so that energy is used during the day and restored at night. When sleep begins, the body does not simply shut down. Instead, it enters a series of stages, each with its own role and balance. Non-REM sleep unfolds first, with three distinct stages that progress from light slumber to deep, restorative rest. In the earliest stage, the body relaxes, muscles loosen, and breathing slows. In the second stage, brain waves become slower, punctuated by bursts of activity that help consolidate memory. In the third stage, also known as slow wave sleep, the body reaches its deepest rest. Growth hormone is released, tissues repair themselves, and the immune system strengthens. Following these stages, REM sleep appears, marked by rapid eye movements and vivid dreams. During REM, the brain processes emotions, solidifies memories, and integrates new information into existing knowledge. This alternation of non-REM and REM cycles, repeated several times each night, creates the rhythm of sleep, each stage contributing to overall balance. One of sleep's most important functions is the restoration of the nervous system. During wakefulness, neurons are constantly active, generating byproducts such as adenosine that contribute to sleep pressure. Sleep clears these byproducts, allowing neurons to return to a state of readiness. The glymphatic system, a network of channels in the brain, becomes more active during sleep, flushing away waste products such as beta amyloid. This cleansing process is essential for long-term brain health, preventing accumulation that could interfere with function. In this way, sleep is not only a pause from wakefulness, but also a time of active maintenance, balancing the brain's chemistry and structure. Memory and learning are also tied to sleep. Experiences gathered during the day are not stored fully formed, but require consolidation, a process that occurs during both non-REM and REM stages. Non-REM sleep stabilizes factual memories, strengthening connections in the hippocampus and cortex. REM sleep integrates these memories, linking them with emotions and existing knowledge. This dual process allows learning to become lasting, transforming fleeting experiences into part of the mind's permanent fabric. Without sufficient sleep, memory falters, concentration wanes, and the balance of cognition is disrupted. With restful sleep, knowledge is secured and creativity flourishes, supported by the brain's nightly work. The immune system, too, finds renewal in sleep. During deep non-REM stages, the body releases cytokines, proteins that promote immune function and fight infection. Sleep also enhances the production of antibodies, strengthening defense against pathogens. Conversely, lack of sleep weakens immunity, making illness more likely and recovery slower. This connection reflects the broader theme of balance. Sleep restores not only energy but also resilience, preparing the body to face the challenges of each new day. Hormonal cycles are tightly linked to sleep. Growth hormone, vital for tissue repair and development, is released primarily during deep sleep. Cortisol, the stress hormone, follows a daily rhythm, falling at night to allow rest and rising in the morning to promote alertness. Insulin sensitivity is also influenced by sleep, with inadequate rest leading to impaired glucose regulation. Appetite hormones, too, shift with sleep. Leptin, which signals fullness, rises during rest, while ghrelin, which signals hunger, falls. When sleep is cut short, this balance is disturbed, leading to increased hunger and cravings. These hormonal connections reveal that sleep is not an isolated state but a partner in nearly every aspect of homeostasis. From metabolism to growth to stress regulation, the cardiovascular system benefits from sleep as well. During non-REM sleep, heart rate and blood pressure fall, giving the heart a period of rest. Blood vessels relax, reducing strain, and the body recalibrates its circulatory rhythms. Inadequate sleep, by contrast, is linked with hypertension, irregular heart rhythms. Again, balance is the theme. Sleep provides the restorative counterweight to the demands of wakefulness, ensuring that the heart and vessels endure not in constant strain, but in alternating cycles of effort and recovery. Emotions also find balance in sleep. Dreams, especially during REM stages, appear to play a role in processing feelings, integrating them into memory, and reducing emotional intensity. After sleep, difficult experiences may feel less raw, their sharpness softened by the mind's nightly integration. Sleep deprivation, by contrast, heightens emotional reactivity, making stress feel more overwhelming and moods more unstable. In this way, sleep is not only physical restoration but also psychological balance, a nightly reset that allows the mind to approach life with steadiness. When sleep is disrupted, the consequences ripple outward. Insomnia, sleep apnea, and irregular schedules can all disturb the natural cycle, leading to fatigue, impaired concentration, weakened immunity, and emotional strain. Chronic sleep loss can disrupt glucose balance, weaken cardiovascular health, and impair memory. Yet even after disruption, the body shows resilience. Lost sleep is followed by deeper and longer cycles of slow-wave rest, as the body prioritizes what it needs most. This recovery demonstrates that sleep is not optional but essential, a priority that the body insists upon to restore balance. Sleep is also shaped by culture, environment, and habit. Artificial light, irregular schedules, and modern stresses can all interfere with circadian rhythm, delaying the release of melatonin and pushing sleep later into the night. Yet simple changes, dimming lights before bedtime, keeping regular hours, and creating quiet surroundings can restore rhythm, allowing the body's natural balance to emerge. In traditional societies, sleep often followed the natural cycle of daylight, with rest coming soon after darkness and waking at dawn. This harmony between external and internal rhythms reflects the broader theme of alignment, the balance between body and environment. In reflecting on sleep, One sees not an absence of activity, but a carefully orchestrated symphony of restoration. Each stage, each cycle, each hormone release plays its part in returning the body and mind to balance. The quiet of sleep is filled with repair, renewal, and preparation, ensuring that wakefulness can be sustained with energy and clarity. It is a balance that bridges night and day, inner and outer, past and future. To lie down and surrender to sleep is to trust in this balance, to allow the body to do its unseen work of healing and renewal. The heartbeat slows, the breath steadies, the mind drifts, and beneath it all, in the stillness of night, the body restores its harmony, readying itself for the challenges and joys of another day. Sleep is the ultimate balance, the nightly return to equilibrium that allows life to continue in strength, clarity, and peace. 15. Stress, relaxation, and recovery. Stress is a word that carries weight in modern life, often thought of as something negative, something to be avoided. Yet in the language of physiology, stress is simply a response, the body's way of adapting to challenges and changes. It is neither wholly good nor wholly bad. In small doses, stress prepares us to meet demands, sharpening focus, quickening reflexes, and providing energy. It is a survival tool, an ancient mechanism that allowed our ancestors to react swiftly to threats and opportunities. But like all aspects of homeostasis, it requires balance. Too much stress, too often, without time for recovery, tips the body into disharmony, straining systems and disrupting health. Just as important as the ability to mount a stress response is the ability to return to calm, to relax, and to recover. In this cycle lies the true balance of stress. The stress response begins in the brain. When a potential challenge is detected, whether it is physical danger, emotional strain, or even a demanding thought, the hypothalamus activates the sympathetic nervous system. This sets off what is often called the fight or flight response. The adrenal glands release adrenaline and noradrenaline, hormones that raise heart rate, increase blood pressure, and widen the airways, preparing the body for quick action. At the same time, cortisol is secreted from the adrenal cortex, providing sustained energy by increasing blood sugar and altering metabolism. Blood is directed toward muscles and away from digestion, sharpening the body's readiness for immediate effort. These changes are rapid and automatic, allowing the body to respond before conscious thought has time to deliberate. This response is useful in short bursts. It provides the energy to escape danger, to solve urgent problems, or to endure sudden challenges. But the balance of stress depends on its resolution. Once the challenge passes, the parasympathetic nervous system, the counterpart to the sympathetic system, becomes active. It slows the heart, lowers blood pressure, stimulates digestion, and restores calm. Cortisol levels fall, and the body returns to baseline. This recovery is as important as the response itself. Without it, the body remains in a heightened state, straining systems that were meant to be used only temporarily. The trouble arises when stress becomes chronic. In the modern world, threats are often not sudden predators or storms, but ongoing pressures, deadlines, responsibilities, worries, or unresolved conflicts. The body responds to these with the same biological mechanisms. Yet without a clear end, the recovery phase may never fully arrive. Cortisol may remain elevated, blood pressure may stay high, and digestion may remain suppressed. Over time, this imbalance contributes to fatigue, weakened immunity, disturbed sleep, and even chronic diseases of the heart and metabolism. What was once a helpful tool becomes a burden when it is not balanced by relaxation and recovery. Relaxation is therefore not merely a pleasant state but a physiological necessity. It allows the parasympathetic system to dominate, guiding the body back to equilibrium. Breathing slows, muscles loosen, and blood flow returns to the digestive tract. Hormones shift from stress chemistry to restorative chemistry. In this state, healing occurs, energy is replenished, and balance is restored. Relaxation does not mean inactivity. It can occur during quiet walking, gentle conversation, or even creative work. What matters is that the body no longer perceives immediate threat, allowing its systems to settle into their natural rhythms. Recovery is a broader process, encompassing not only moments of relaxation, but also the long-term restoration of balance after stress. Sleep plays a central role here, as discussed earlier, providing the nightly reset that clears stress hormones and repairs tissues. Nutrition supports recovery as well, supplying the vitamins, minerals, and energy needed to rebuild reserves. Social connection and emotional expression contribute too, giving the mind and spirit a way to release tension. Even time in nature, with its rhythms of light, sound, and space, appears to aid recovery, aligning the body with cycles larger than itself. These diverse forms of recovery all point to the same truth. Stress is sustainable only when paired with balance. When each challenge is followed by renewal, the balance of stress and relaxation can be seen in the smallest details of physiology. The heart, for example, does not beat in a rigid rhythm but varies subtly with breathing. This variability is a marker of balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic influences. A heart that adjusts easily, quickening and slowing with demand, reflects resilience. A heart locked into monotony may signal imbalance, the strain of chronic stress. Similarly, the immune system responds to stress in nuanced ways. Brief stress can sharpen immunity, preparing the body for injury or infection. Prolonged stress, however, suppresses immune function, leaving the body more vulnerable. In each case, balance determines whether stress is a tool of survival or a source of harm. Emotions are deeply tied to this balance. Fear, anger, and anxiety trigger the stress response, while joy, trust, and safety foster relaxation. Practices that calm the mind, meditation, mindfulness, prayer, or simple stillness, activate the parasympathetic system, lowering heart rate and restoring equilibrium. Breathing itself is a bridge between stress and relaxation. Slow, deep breaths send signals to the brain that safety is present, shifting chemistry toward calm. Even sighing, a spontaneous deep breath, appears to reset the nervous system, a natural pause that restores balance after tension. It is important to recognize that stress is not inherently destructive. Without it, life would lack adaptation and growth. Muscles grow stronger when stressed by exercise, provided they are given time to recover. The mind grows sharper when challenged by problems, provided it finds moments of rest. The immune system strengthens when exposed to manageable infections, provided it is not overwhelmed. In each case, stress followed by recovery builds resilience, leaving the body and mind stronger than before. This cycle, challenge and rest, effort and renewal, is the very essence of balance. Disruptions occur when the cycle is incomplete. If stress is constant, without recovery, balance tips toward exhaustion. If relaxation is constant, without challenge, balance tips toward stagnation. True harmony lies between these extremes, in the ongoing rhythm of activation and release. The body is designed for this rhythm. The sympathetic and parasympathetic systems are two sides of the same coin, each necessary, each incomplete without the other. Their alternation allows life to respond with vigor and then return to calm, sustaining both action and rest. The balance of stress, relaxation, and recovery also shapes the quality of daily experience. A person who faces challenges but finds time to recover may feel steady, resilient, and clear. A person who is overwhelmed without pause may feel anxious, fatigued, or ill. A person who avoids all stress may feel unchallenged, unfulfilled, or stagnant. In this sense, balance is not only biological, but also emotional and existential. It is the rhythm that allows life to feel both safe and meaningful, both energized and peaceful. To reflect on this balance is to see life itself as a cycle of tides, rising and falling, effort and ease. Stress provides the rising wave, carrying us forward into action. Relaxation provides the ebb, returning us to calm waters. Recovery is the depth of the ocean, the reservoir that sustains both. Together they form a pattern as old as life itself, a rhythm that maintains not only survival but also well-being. In the end, stress, relaxation, and recovery are not separate forces but parts of the same continuum. They are the body's way of responding, resting, and renewing, ensuring that each challenge can be met without losing harmony. They remind us that balance is not the absence of stress but the presence of rhythm, the alternation of effort and ease. To live within this balance is to honor the body's design, to allow each wave of stress to be followed by a wave of calm, and to find in this cycle the steady ground of health and peace. 16. Balance across the senses. The human body does not live in isolation from its surroundings. Every moment, it is immersed in a world of light, sound, scent, taste, and touch. To remain in balance, the body must not only regulate its inner chemistry and rhythms, but also harmonize with the external environment through the senses. These sensory systems are the gateways of perception, allowing us to navigate, learn, and adapt. They must be precise enough to detect subtle changes, yet restrained enough not to overwhelm the mind with constant noise. The balance across the senses is, in many ways, the bridge between the inner world of homeostasis and the outer world of experience. Sight is often considered the dominant sense, providing a vast amount of information about the environment. The eyes capture light, focusing it onto the retina, where specialized cells, rods, and cones transform it into electrical signals. These signals travel through the optic nerve to the brain, where they are assembled into images. The balance here lies not only in clarity of vision but in adjustment. Pupils widen in darkness to admit more light and constrict in brightness to protect the delicate retina. Eyes shift focus from near to far, adapting to different tasks. Even the brain balances visual input, blending signals from two eyes to create depth and filtering out unnecessary detail to prevent overload. Without this balance, vision would either be too faint to guide us or too overwhelming to interpret. Hearing provides another example of sensory equilibrium. The ear must be sensitive enough to detect the faintest whisper, yet resilient enough to withstand loud sounds without damage. The outer ear funnels vibrations into the middle ear, where tiny bones amplify them before passing them to the inner ear. There, fluid-filled structures called cochleae translate vibrations into electrical signals for the brain. Hair cells within the cochlea respond to different frequencies, allowing us to distinguish low bass tones from high notes. Balance in hearing requires not only detecting sound but filtering it. The brain emphasizes relevant voices in a crowded room while suppressing background noise, a phenomenon sometimes called the cocktail party effect. This filtering is essential, for without it, hearing would be a flood of sound, rather than a usable guide. Taste and smell, though often less emphasized, play critical roles in balance as well. Taste buds on the tongue detect 5 basic flavors: sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. Each flavor carries information: sweetness signals energy-rich foods, salt signals essential minerals, sourness warns of potential spoilage, Bitterness warns of toxins, and umami signals proteins. Smell adds depth to taste, detecting thousands of different molecules that give food its unique character. Together, these senses guide choices, ensuring that the body receives nutrients while avoiding harm. Balance here means sensitivity without excess. Too much sensitivity might make food intolerable. Too little might make danger undetectable. The body maintains this equilibrium through constant renewal of taste and smell receptors, ensuring they remain fresh and accurate. Touch, spread across the entire body, is perhaps the most fundamental sense. Receptors in the skin detect pressure, temperature, vibration, and pain. These signals allow us to navigate the world safely, to feel texture, to sense warmth, and to withdraw from harm. Balance in touch lies in the distribution of sensitivity. Fingertips are rich in receptors, capable of fine discrimination, while the back has fewer, detecting only broad changes. This arrangement allows detail where it is most useful and general awareness elsewhere. The nervous system also balances responses, damping pain after an initial warning, or filtering out sensations such as the constant touch of clothing. Without this regulation, touch could overwhelm awareness, distracting from other tasks. With it, the sense provides steady guidance without excess. The senses do not operate in isolation. They interact constantly, reinforcing and balancing one another. Vision and balance are linked through the vestibular system of the inner ear, which detects movement and orientation. When visual and vestibular signals conflict, as on a moving boat, the result is dizziness or motion sickness, a sign that sensory balance has been disrupted. Taste and smell combine so seamlessly that flavor is often a blend of both, as anyone with a blocked nose quickly discovers. Even touch and sight interact with visual information, enhancing the perception of texture and shape. The integration of senses is itself a form of balance, ensuring that no single channel dominates, but that all contribute to a coherent picture of the world. This integration occurs largely in the brain, particularly in regions such as the thalamus and cortex. These areas filter, combine, and interpret sensory signals, highlighting what is important and quieting what is not. This filtering prevents overload, allowing the mind to focus on what matters for survival and well-being. Yet the brain is also capable of shifting balance between senses when needed. In darkness, hearing and touch become more acute, compensating for lost vision. In noisy environments, vision takes on greater importance for communication. This adaptability shows that sensory balance is not fixed but flexible, adjusting to circumstance. Disruptions in sensory balance reveal its importance. Loss of vision or hearing alters perception of the world, often requiring the strengthening of other senses to compensate. Conditions such as vertigo, where vestibular signals are disturbed, make standing and walking difficult, even if vision and touch are intact. Sensory overload, such as in environments filled with bright lights and loud noises, can overwhelm the brain's filtering, leading to fatigue and discomfort. Conversely, sensory deprivation can be unsettling, as the absence of input leaves the mind adrift. In each case, the challenge arises from imbalance, either too much, too little, or conflicting signals. The senses also connect deeply to emotion and memory. A scent can trigger a vivid recollection. A sound can evoke joy or sadness. A texture can comfort or unsettle. These responses reflect the wiring of the senses to the limbic system, the brain's emotional center. Balance here means that the senses not only inform but enrich life, guiding choices and deepening experience. When well regulated, they provide not only safety, but meaning, linking the outer world to the inner life of feeling and thought. Cultural practices often reflect an awareness of sensory balance. Music, art, cuisine, and textiles all engage the senses in ways that harmonize rather than overwhelm. A quiet melody calms, a balanced meal nourishes, a gentle fabric soothes. Environments designed with balance in mind, soft lighting, natural sounds, pleasant aromas, support relaxation and well-being. By shaping sensory input, people create spaces that reflect the body's need for harmony, reinforcing the natural rhythms of balance. To reflect on the senses is to realize that balance is not only chemical or mechanical, but experiential. Every sound heard, every sight seen, every texture felt, every flavor tasted is part of the body's interaction with the world. These interactions must be tuned, neither too sharp nor too dull, for the mind to remain at ease. The senses provide the threads that connect the inner self to the outer environment, weaving a fabric of perception that is both protective and enriching. In their balance, the senses allow life to be not only sustained but experienced. They guide the body safely, nourish it wisely, and enrich it with beauty. They protect without overwhelming, inform without confusing, and connect without isolating. To live in balance across the senses is to live in harmony with both the inner body and the outer world, steady in perception, calm in awareness, and open to the quiet richness of existence. 17. Reproductive and developmental balance. The story of human life is, in many ways, a story of balance across time. From the earliest stages of growth in the womb to the transitions of puberty, adulthood, and aging, the body moves through phases that must be carefully regulated. Hormones, tissues, and organs work in harmony to guide development, reproduction, and continuity of life. Just as blood sugar, temperature, and water must remain steady from day to day, the long arc of human existence depends on the balance of reproductive and developmental systems. These systems must not only create new life but also integrate with the larger fabric of the body, ensuring that growth, fertility, and maturity unfold in their proper rhythm. Reproduction begins with the coordination of the hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and gonads. In both males and females, this axis regulates hormones that govern sexual development and fertility. The hypothalamus releases gonadotropin-releasing hormone, which stimulates the pituitary to release two key messengers: luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone. These in turn signal the testes in males and the ovaries in females, prompting them to produce sex hormones such as testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. These hormones regulate not only the production of sperm and eggs, but also broader traits, muscle growth, fat distribution, bone density, and even mood. The balance of this hormonal axis is essential, for too much or too little at any stage can disrupt the progression of development or the capacity for reproduction. In males, the testes are responsible for producing sperm, a process that requires a constant balance of temperature and hormone signals. Sperm production occurs in the seminiferous tubules, supported by testosterone secreted from nearby cells. For sperm to mature properly, the testes must remain slightly cooler than body temperature, a balance maintained by their position outside the abdominal cavity and by subtle adjustments of surrounding muscles. Once formed, sperm are stored and transported through a network of ducts, eventually mixing with fluids from the prostate and seminal vesicles to create semen. This balance of production, maturation, and release ensures that sperm are available when needed, while also conserving energy when fertility is not actively engaged. In females, the cycle of fertility is even more visibly rhythmic. Each month, under the influence of hormones, an egg matures within an ovarian follicle. Rising estrogen levels thicken the uterine lining, preparing it to support a possible pregnancy. Mid-cycle, a surge of luteinizing hormone triggers ovulation, releasing the egg. If fertilization occurs, progesterone helps maintain the uterine lining so that the developing embryo can implant and grow. If not, hormone levels fall, and the lining is shed as menstruation. This cycle reflects balance on a monthly scale, a harmony of hormones that prepares for new life, while also resetting when conception does not occur. Disturbances in this balance, whether through stress, illness, or hormonal disorder, can lead to irregular cycles or reduced fertility, showing how sensitive reproduction is to the body's broader state of equilibrium. Developmental balance extends far beyond fertility. In early life, growth requires the careful orchestration of hormones such as growth hormone, thyroid hormone, and insulin-like growth factors. These signals ensure that bones lengthen, muscles strengthen, and organs mature at the right pace. Too little growth hormone leads to stunted growth, while too much leads to excessive stature. The thyroid regulates metabolism, providing the energy needed for development. Deficiencies here can slow growth, impair cognition, or disrupt overall health. Yet, in healthy conditions, the balance of these signals allows a child to grow steadily, each year adding height and strength in accordance with the body's plan. Puberty represents one of the most dramatic shifts in developmental balance. The hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis awakens, increasing the release of sex hormones. In boys, testosterone rises, deepening the voice, increasing muscle mass, and stimulating sperm production. In girls, estrogen rises, leading to breast development, changes in fat distribution, and the onset of menstrual cycles. These changes do not occur all at once, but in stages, each carefully timed and balanced. Emotional and cognitive changes accompany the physical, as the brain itself is shaped by hormones. The balance of puberty is both fragile and resilient, requiring the coordination of multiple systems to guide the body into maturity. Pregnancy provides perhaps the most profound example of reproductive balance. From conception to birth, the mother's body must support the developing fetus while maintaining her own health. Hormones such as progesterone and human chorionic gonadotropin sustain the uterine lining and prevent menstruation. The placenta, an organ formed for this purpose, regulates the exchange of nutrients, gases, and wastes between mother and child. Blood volume increases, heart rate rises, and metabolism shifts, all in service of supporting two lives instead of one. Each of these adjustments must be finely balanced. Too little support and the pregnancy cannot continue. Too much strain and the mother's health suffers. The success of pregnancy depends on the constant recalibration of systems, a dynamic equilibrium that adapts week by week. Birth itself is another act of balance. As hormonal signals shift to trigger labor, oxytocin rises, stimulating contractions of the uterus. Prostaglandins soften and prepare tissues for delivery. The fetus contributes to this balance, signaling readiness through hormonal cues. The process of labor, though intense, is guided by feedback loops. Contractions stimulate more oxytocin, which in turn strengthens contractions. Once birth occurs, the balance shifts again, oxytocin now supporting milk release and bonding between mother and child. Recovery follows, as the mother's body gradually returns to its pre-pregnancy state, another cycle of restoration. Throughout adulthood, reproductive hormones continue to influence health beyond fertility. Testosterone supports bone strength, muscle mass, and energy levels in men. Estrogen contributes to cardiovascular health, bone density, and skin resilience in women. As these hormones decline with age, new balances must be found. In women, menopause marks the end of fertility, as estrogen and progesterone fall and menstrual cycles cease. This transition brings shifts in bone density, temperature regulation, and mood, requiring new forms of equilibrium. In men, testosterone declines more gradually, sometimes leading to reduced muscle, slower metabolism, and changes in energy. These transitions remind us that reproductive hormones are not only about reproduction but about the balance of the whole body across time. Reproductive and developmental balance also extends into emotional and social realms. Hormones influence mood, desire, bonding, and even trust. Oxytocin, released during childbirth, breastfeeding, and physical closeness, fosters attachment and social harmony. Vasopressin contributes to pair bonding and parental behaviors. These influences show that reproduction is not only biological but relational, tying individuals together in families and communities. Balance here is not only about hormone levels but about the integration of body, mind, and society. When reproductive balance falters, challenges arise. Infertility, caused by disruptions in hormone signaling, structural issues, or other factors, can bring emotional as well as physical strain. Disorders such as polycystic ovary syndrome, endometriosis, or low testosterone reflect imbalances that affect not only fertility but overall health. Advances in medicine can assist, but the principle remains the same. Harmony between signals, tissues, and systems is essential for reproduction and development to unfold naturally. To reflect on reproductive and developmental balance is to see the human body as part of a continuum of life. From the growth of a child to the cycles of fertility, from the nurturing of pregnancy to the transitions of aging, each stage reflects the body's ability to regulate, adapt, and renew. Reproduction ensures continuity, while development ensures growth and adaptation. Together, they form the balance of life itself, not only for individuals but for generations. In the end, reproductive and developmental balance is a story of rhythm, of cycles within cycles, of monthly patterns, of life stages, of beginnings and transitions. It is balance stretched across years, guiding not only survival but continuity. To live within this balance is to be part of the larger flow of life, sustained by hormones, shaped by growth, connected by bonds, and renewed in each new generation. It is the balance that carries life forward, quietly, steadily, and endlessly. 18. Aging and shifts in balance. Aging is one of the most universal aspects of human existence, a gradual unfolding of time within the body. From the moment of birth, the body begins to change, first in rapid growth and development, then in steady maturity, and finally in gradual decline. Yet aging is not merely a story of loss, it is also a story of adaptation, of balance shifting from one set of priorities to another. The systems that regulate temperature, water, glucose, hormones, and immunity all continue to work, but they do so in new rhythms. Aging is the long arc of homeostasis adjusting itself, the body finding equilibrium across decades rather than hours or days. One of the first signs of aging appears in metabolism. In youth, energy is abundant, supported by high levels of growth hormone and active cellular repair. As the years pass, these signals gradually diminish. Muscle mass declines, fat stores increase, and metabolism slows. This shift reflects a change in balance. The body no longer prioritizes rapid growth or reproduction, but instead conserves energy for maintenance. The thyroid gland, which regulates metabolic pace, often becomes less active with age, leading to further slowing. Though this change may bring challenges such as weight gain or reduced stamina, it is also an adaptation, a recalibration of energy use in line with the needs of later life. Bones and muscles, too, reflect the shifts of aging. In childhood and early adulthood, bone remodeling favors building, with osteoblasts outpacing osteoclasts. In midlife, this balance equalizes, and in later years, breakdown often exceeds rebuilding. The result is gradual thinning of bones, known as osteoporosis when severe. Similarly, muscles lose both size and strength, a process called sarcopenia. These changes alter posture, stability, and resilience. Yet balance is still present, for the body adapts by increasing reliance on other systems. Older individuals often develop greater awareness of movement, taking deliberate steps and engaging in practices that strengthen remaining muscles. The body, though altered, continues to seek equilibrium, finding new ways to maintain stability in the face of change. The cardiovascular system undergoes its own transformations. Arteries gradually stiffen, raising blood pressure, and the heart muscle may thicken slightly to manage the load. The ability to increase heart rate during exertion diminishes, making recovery slower. Yet the heart continues its steady work, beating billions of times across a lifetime. Lifestyle and activity can influence this balance greatly. Regular exercise, even gentle walking, helps maintain flexibility of vessels and strength of the heart, showing how behavior supports physiological equilibrium. In this sense, aging is not a fixed path but a dialogue between biology and environment, with balance shaped by choices as well as time. The nervous system, central to coordination and perception, also shifts with age. Nerve conduction may slow, reflexes may become less sharp, and memory may falter. Yet the brain remains remarkably adaptable, forming new connections and strengthening pathways through continued use. This plasticity allows learning to continue throughout life, even if at a slower pace. Balance here lies not in maintaining the exact abilities of youth, but in finding new ways of thinking, remembering, and adapting. Many older individuals draw on accumulated wisdom and experience, compensating for slower processing with deeper understanding. In this way, cognitive balance shifts from speed to insight. Hormonal balance changes significantly with aging. In women, menopause marks the end of reproductive cycles, with sharp declines in estrogen and progesterone. These shifts affect not only fertility but also bone health, cardiovascular function, and temperature regulation. In men, testosterone declines more gradually, influencing muscle mass, energy, and mood. The adrenal glands may produce less of certain hormones, altering stress response. Yet again, the body adapts, finding new levels of equilibrium. Other hormones, such as insulin, may become less effective, leading to changes in glucose balance and a higher risk of diabetes. These adjustments reflect a larger truth. Balance in aging is not about holding steady at youthful levels, but about finding stability at new set points. The immune system, too, reflects this theme. In youth, immunity is vigorous, capable of mounting strong defenses against pathogens. With age, the response weakens, a process called immunosenescence. The production of new immune cells slows, and existing cells may become less efficient. At the same time, low levels of chronic inflammation often increase, a phenomenon sometimes called inflammaging. This combination can make older adults more vulnerable to infection while also contributing to age-related conditions. Yet even here, balance persists. Vaccination can support immunity, rest and nutrition can strengthen defenses, and the body continues to heal and protect as best it can. The senses provide another window into aging. Vision may blur as the lens stiffens. Hearing may dull as hair cells in the cochlea decline, and taste or smell may fade. These changes alter perception but do not end it. The brain adapts by relying more on context, memory, and integration of other senses. People may learn to read lips in conversation, to recognize faces by shape and movement rather than fine detail, or to rely more on touch and memory in daily tasks. Balance in the senses shifts from sharpness to integration, from acute detection to holistic awareness. Emotional balance also evolves with age. Many studies suggest that older adults experience greater emotional stability, reacting less strongly to negative events and focusing more on positive experiences. This shift may reflect changes in brain chemistry, hormone levels, and perspective gained through years of life. Stress often feels less overwhelming, and the importance of recovery and calm becomes clearer. Social bonds, meaning, and reflection take on greater weight, supporting balance not only in physiology but also in spirit. Aging, then, is not only a biological process but an emotional and existential one, a rebalancing of priorities from striving to acceptance. The digestive system, too, adapts. Metabolism slows, appetite may diminish, and the efficiency of absorption can decline. Yet the gut microbiota remains an active partner, and diet continues to play a vital role. Balanced nutrition, rich in fiber, vitamins, and hydration, helps sustain equilibrium. Even as appetite changes, the body signals what it needs, guiding choices toward foods that support resilience. Once again, the theme is not perfection, but adaptation, balance shifting toward efficiency and conservation. Aging also brings changes in sleep. The cycles of deep, slow wave rest may shorten, and waking may occur more often during the night. Yet daytime naps or restful periods can compensate, creating a new rhythm of rest and activity. The circadian rhythm itself may shift, with earlier sleep and waking times. These changes reflect balance at a new stage, a steadying of the body's need for restoration in patterns that suit later life. Ultimately, aging is not a loss of balance but a transformation of it. The body does not cling to the exact conditions of youth but adjusts its set points, finding stability in new ranges. Muscles may weaken, but wisdom strengthens. Reflexes may slow, but perspective deepens. Bones may thin, but bonds with others grow richer. In this sense, balance in aging is not only biological but also human, encompassing body, mind, and connection. To reflect on aging is to see balance stretched across time. The rapid adjustments of breath or heartbeat become the gradual adjustments of decades, each system recalibrating as the years unfold. The body is not failing but adapting, not breaking down but reshaping its equilibrium. In youth, balance supports growth. In adulthood, it supports productivity. In aging, it supports endurance and reflection. Each stage is balanced in its own way, appropriate to its purpose, part of the larger cycle of life. Thus, aging is not the end of balance but one of its most profound expressions. It is the body's lifelong commitment to adaptation, the shifting of equilibrium to sustain life in changing conditions. In its grace and resilience, aging shows us that balance is not about resisting time but about moving with it, finding harmony even as the seasons of life turn. It is balance written in years, a quiet rhythm that carries us from birth to the twilight of life with steadiness and peace. 19. The symphony of interconnected systems. The human body is not a collection of isolated parts working independently, but rather a vast network of interconnected systems, each one influencing the others in countless ways. To breathe is not merely to fill the lungs with air. It is to deliver oxygen to blood, which the heart then pumps to tissues, where cells convert it into energy with the help of nutrients digested from food. To stand upright is not simply a matter of bones, but also of muscles contracting, nerves firing, inner ear structures sensing, and the brain coordinating. In every action, large or small, balance is maintained not by one system alone, but by the cooperation of all. The body is a symphony. Its systems, like instruments in an orchestra, each with its own sound, yet all harmonizing to create the music of life. The circulatory system is often thought of as the conductor of this symphony, carrying oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and waste products to and from every part of the body. Yet the blood it carries depends on the respiratory system to supply oxygen, on the digestive system to provide nutrients, on the kidneys to regulate fluid and electrolytes, and on the liver to process chemicals. Without these partners, the heart's beat would be empty motion. Likewise, the nervous system oversees the rhythm, adjusting heart rate and blood vessel tone in response to signals from throughout the body. In this way, circulation demonstrates the interconnectedness of all systems, not an independent melody, but part of a larger composition. The respiratory system provides another example. Its primary role is the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Yet this process is deeply tied to other systems. The muscles of the chest and diaphragm, part of the muscular system, enable breathing movements. The nervous system controls the rhythm, speeding or slowing it based on the body's needs. The circulatory system delivers gases to and from tissues, while the immune system guards the airways against infection. Even the skeletal system contributes, as the ribs form a protective cage around the lungs. Breathing, then, is not a single act but the product of many systems working together, each adding its part to the harmony. Digestion illustrates interconnectedness in another way. Food provides the raw material for energy, but digestion alone cannot sustain life. The nutrients absorbed in the small intestine enter the bloodstream, where the liver processes and distributes them. Hormones from the endocrine system regulate hunger, satiety, and metabolism, while the nervous system coordinates motility and secretions. The immune system monitors the gut, distinguishing helpful microbes from harmful ones. Even the skeletal system depends on digestion, as calcium and vitamin D are absorbed to maintain bone strength. Each meal, then, is a convergence of systems, the cooperative effort of many instruments in the symphony of balance. The skeletal and muscular systems are likewise interwoven with others. Movement requires not only bones and muscles but also nerves to command contraction, blood to deliver oxygen, and senses to guide coordination. Hormones influence growth and strength, while nutrition supplies building blocks for repair. The balance of posture and motion is not achieved by muscles alone but by the entire orchestra. Sight guiding steps, inner ears sensing shifts, joints sending feedback, and the brain integrating it all into seamless action. To walk across a room is to witness interconnected balance, an invisible harmony of systems cooperating in every step. The endocrine system provides the chemical notes of the symphony, releasing hormones that carry messages between distant parts of the body. Yet these signals act only in relation to other systems. Insulin regulates glucose balance but depends on digestion for nutrient supply and on muscles and fat for storage. Thyroid hormones set metabolic pace, but their effects appear in every organ. Reproductive hormones guide fertility, but they also influence bones, mood, and cardiovascular health. The endocrine system cannot be separated from the rest, for its music flows through all instruments, ensuring that they remain in tune with one another. The immune system, too, is deeply integrated. It does not act alone but relies on the circulatory system to carry its cells, on the skin and mucous membranes for barriers, and on the nervous system for signals that influence activity. Stress, mediated by the endocrine and nervous systems, can suppress immunity, while sleep, guided by circadian rhythms, strengthens it. The immune system influences and is influenced by nearly every other part of the body. Its balance is thus a collective one, dependent on the harmony of the whole. Even the brain, often thought of as the central command, is not an isolated ruler but part of the network. It depends on the circulatory system for oxygen and glucose, on the respiratory system for steady gas exchange, and on the digestive system for nutrients. Hormones influence its mood and function, while the immune system interacts with its cells, shaping memory and resilience. The brain directs, but it also listens, integrating signals from the body to adjust its commands. In this sense, the brain is less a conductor giving orders and more a participant in the symphony, coordinating but also responding to the music around it. Disruptions in one system often echo in others. A problem in the lungs can strain the heart, as it must pump harder to circulate poorly oxygenated blood. A kidney disorder can upset blood pressure and fluid balance, affecting circulation and even the brain. Digestive imbalances can influence immunity, mood, and metabolism. These echoes reveal the interdependence of systems, showing that harmony depends not on perfection in one part, but on cooperation among all. Just as an orchestra can adjust to a weak instrument by strengthening others, the body compensates for imbalance by recruiting other systems, maintaining overall steadiness. Daily rhythms provide another layer of interconnected balance. The circadian clock influences not only sleep, but also hormone release, digestion, and immune activity. Meals taken at regular times help synchronize these rhythms, while irregular schedules can cause discord, leading to fatigue, metabolic strain, or mood disturbance. Here again, balance is not about isolated systems, but about their alignment with one another, and with the larger cycles of light and dark, activity and rest. The symphony extends beyond the body to its environment, harmonizing inner and outer rhythms. Emotion and experience also demonstrate interconnectedness. Stress, as discussed earlier, influences heart rate, digestion, and immunity, while relaxation restores them. Joy can brighten the face, quicken the heart, and strengthen resilience, while grief can weigh on the body as well as the mind. These responses show that the symphony of systems is not only mechanical but emotional, blending physiology with feeling to create the experience of life. Balance here is not measured solely in numbers but also in states of being calm, energy, focus, or peace. To reflect on the body as a symphony is to recognize its unity. Each system is an instrument, distinct yet dependent on the others. No part plays alone. Even the smallest adjustment resonates throughout. Health, then, is not merely the absence of disease but the presence of harmony, the smooth cooperation of systems that allows life to proceed with grace. When one instrument falters, the others adjust, preserving the music. When all are in tune, the result is effortless, the rhythm of living, steady and strong. This vision of interconnected systems brings a sense of wonder. The simple act of taking a breath, the quiet act of closing the eyes and rest, the ordinary act of eating a meal, all are symphonies in miniature, harmonies created by countless players working together. The music is never silent, never ending, playing from birth until the final moment of life. It is the music of balance, the quiet symphony within, sustaining the steady miracle of being alive. 20. Closing reflection on balance in life. As we reach the end of this long journey through the body, one truth rises gently above all the details. Balance is the essence of life. Every heartbeat, every breath, every quiet chemical reaction unfolds in harmony, never too fast, never too slow, always adjusting, always returning to a steady rhythm. The human body is not a machine running on rigid rules, but a living organism sustained by flexibility, able to adapt to both subtle and dramatic changes. It bends but does not break, flowing with the challenges of existence while always finding its way back to equilibrium. This balance is not simply biological. It is a reflection of life itself, a reminder that harmony is the key to survival, resilience, and peace. Balance begins in the smallest spaces, at the level of the cell. Ions move across membranes. Water shifts in and out. Nutrients enter, and waste exits. Each of these flows must be precisely regulated, for the tiniest imbalance can disrupt the entire system. Yet cells do not act alone. They are organized into tissues and organs, each with its own function, each relying on the stability of the others. Muscle depends on calcium balance. The brain depends on glucose. The kidneys depend on blood flow, and the lungs depend on air. The stability of one is the stability of all, and so the entire body exists as a web of interdependence. The rhythm of balance also unfolds across time. In the moment, homeostasis keeps blood pressure steady, pH stable, and temperature within safe limits. Across days, circadian rhythms align wakefulness and sleep, feeding and fasting, activity and rest. Across years, developmental balance guides growth, reproduction, and aging. Each timescale reflects the same principle. Life persists because balance is never lost for long. Even when illness or disruption occurs, the body strives to correct itself, to restore harmony, to continue the quiet work of survival. Nature itself mirrors this truth. Just as the body maintains homeostasis, so too does the natural world sustain equilibrium. Forests recycle nutrients, oceans regulate temperature, and ecosystems balance predator and prey. The seasons move in cycles, with growth in spring, abundance in summer, harvest in autumn, and rest in winter. These outer rhythms resonate with the inner rhythms of the body, reminding us that balance is not confined to biology, but is the principle of all life. To live in balance is to be aligned not only within but also with the larger patterns of the earth and cosmos. The experience of balance is not only physical but emotional and spiritual. Stress and calm, effort and rest, sorrow and joy, all play their parts in the symphony of life. Just as the body cannot exist always in fight or flight mode, neither can the mind exist always in turmoil. Peace is as necessary as passion. Silence is necessary as sound. Balance here means not the absence of emotion, but the presence of rhythm. The ability to feel deeply and then return to calm. This emotional equilibrium supports physical health as well. In reflecting on balance, one sees that health is not perfection, but resilience. The body is never in a fixed state. It is always adjusting, always correcting, always adapting. Health is not the absence of change, but the ability to navigate change gracefully. A strong immune system does not mean one never becomes ill, but that recovery follows swiftly. A balanced metabolism does not mean energy is constant, but that highs and lows remain within safe limits. True balance allows for fluctuation, like a tree bending in the wind but never snapping. Sleep, nutrition, movement, connection, and reflection are the daily practices that support this balance. Sleep restores, food nourishes, exercise strengthens, relationships soothe, and stillness centers. These are not luxuries but necessities, the tools by which the body maintains harmony. To neglect them is to strain balance. To honor them is to support the quiet work of homeostasis. In this sense, the choices of daily life echo the larger rhythms of physiology, each decision contributing to steadiness or to strain. As aging shows us, balance does not mean staying the same. It means finding stability in change. Bones may thin, but the body finds new ways to move carefully. Muscles may weaken, but the mind grows wise. Sleep may shift, but rest still comes. Hormones may decline, but new rhythms of life arise. Balance is not about clinging to youth, but about adapting to each stage with grace. The beauty of aging is the beauty of continued equilibrium, of finding harmony in a changing form. There is also balance between self and world. The senses connect the body to its environment, guiding safety and enriching experience. To see, to hear, to taste, to touch, and to smell are not passive acts but constant adjustments, aligning inner perception with outer reality. Just as the body regulates its chemistry, it also regulates its relationship with the world, filtering, integrating, and harmonizing. To live fully is to maintain this balance, to be open enough to experience life, yet steady enough not to be overwhelmed. At the broadest level, balance is the thread that unites survival and meaning. Without it, the body cannot endure. With it, life not only continues but flourishes. Balance sustains the physical systems that keep us alive, but it also nurtures the inner states that make life worth living: peace, clarity, connection, and joy. It is the foundation of health and the foundation of contentment, the steady rhythm beneath the surface of existence. As this lecture comes to a close, one can see balance as both an intimate and universal truth. It is the quiet work within every cell, the cooperation of every system, the rhythm of every day, and the arc of every lifetime. It is also the rhythm of the seasons, the cycles of the earth, the movements of the stars. To rest in balance is to rest in harmony with life itself, to find peace in the knowledge that the body, like the world, is designed to adapt, to endure, and to renew. So as you rest now, consider the constancy of this balance. Your heart continues to beat, your lungs continue to breathe, your cells continue to renew, all without your conscious effort. The body watches over itself, tending quietly to its own harmony. You are part of this flow, part of the rhythm that sustains life. And in this recognition, there is comfort. Balance is not something to be forced, but something already present, already unfolding within you. It is the music of life itself, steady and calm, carrying you gently into rest.